Imagine everything you love about the hobby in the palm of your hand. An entire store at your fingertips. Everything you need to know about cards is within your grasp. Unlock the secrets of the hobby. Plus, so much more. You don't have to imagine anymore. It's here. Card Ladder. Get the app today.
Yo.
Yo,
Woo woo.
so is it possible to be on Clubhouse and watch someone else's live at the same time? Because I see a lot of Clubhouse people jumping over.
You could do it with your iPad, so if somebody's on a second device.
Dude, that's a underrated part about you getting me the iPad is like, it's literally only for Clubhouse, so I'm able to kind of use my laptop and my phone for what I normally do.
It's like a radio, a Clubhouse radio.
It is. It was just funny that like the only app I have is Clubhouse and it's meant for phones, so it's like really tiny on the iPad.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk a little Clubhouse an hour or two here. Let me show a quick mail day while people come in.
Yep.
Need to thank Frankie 3500
Oh, nice.
for helping me get card number 86. I had 9 of the 10. This one just doesn't pop up as much, and Frankie helped me get it. So the 10 card subset is complete. Now I just need to get the base, and I'll have all 11 of the Century Legends die cuts numbered to 100. Thank you, Frankie.
That's impressive. To put together a set that old number to 100 for Michael Jordan is not easy.
It helps that it was super cheap and nobody cares about it. So
How cheap? Can you just tell us how much that one cost?
this one I paid about $400 for.
Okay.
But this is from 99 2000, so it's not a playing years card. But the other ones I was able to get for around $100 to $150 raw. So
Gotcha.
I probably overpaid a little bit for it, but I just wasn't messing around. I wasn't going to take any chances.
Yeah, you didn't want to wait you didn't want to wait another year, basically.
Exactly. And let me make a dedication to Trae Young tonight, whose inspired leadership and greatness was so so powerful that he led his team to victory without playing. So congratulations,
Like Durant now.
Trae. Yeah, right. Okay. Enough of
I
us.
got a mail day. I got a mail day.
Oh yeah, please do go. Let me just get this off the screen.
All right. Got this one yesterday, which I already showed my IG, but yeah, I'm still on my wide receiver kick. I'm just sort of picking them up as they come. This week was DeAndre Hopkins, and then I got this one, my favorite contenders,
Wow.
2013.
You need to get a bigger house to hold all these football grails you're piling up.
I like the old PSA slab too.
It's awesome.
Very, very cool design. I love contenders, man. I just love it. It's like the ticket design. It's got the barcode, which is kind of interesting. I just like it. It's just cool. I think each year is different, and they've kind of kept it going. You know, the modern contenders, which is kind of cool. So it's got some history to it. Moving on. What we got?
Oh, got it. Okay. Well, congrats, dude. 2 football grails in a week. Not bad. So today is April 2nd, 2021. Oh, some pretty good April Fool's jokes yesterday. Want to talk about those for a second? I thought the fake grading company by Basketball Card Guy was good. It fooled a lot of people. That's when you know you've done a nice job, is when half the people think it's real.
Yep.
We added a new feature to Card Ladder called Airplane Mode, which let people double their collection value infinitely.
Yep.
So everybody got really rich on April Fool's Day.
We fooled about 10 people. I won't out you guys, but I got some DMs that was like, how do I get it? Where'd that feature go? I thought I saw something, but now I can't find it. And then a couple guys were just like really confused, and they were like, they thought it was gonna be real. I don't know. I guess it could be confusing. They're like, I thought you were like syncing up my collection value with something else, and it made it go up higher, and I was excited. It was like, no. It literally just doubles it. And then we got a feedback. We got a feedback that was like, it keeps doubling it, and I can't get it to go back down. What the heck? How do I fix this?
Refresh. When in doubt, refresh. Isn't that like the mantra of the internet?
Pretty much. Depends on the website, yeah. But yeah.
Nice. All right. Okay. So, right. April 2nd is the crossover, Friday night, late night style. Let's get into the questions. There's a new Sports Cards Culture episode all about the PSA news this week. We dive much deeper into it than we'll be able to tonight, so please check that out on the Card Letter YouTube channel. First question comes in from Flippity Flip Cards. If the quality of the questions submitted to the crossover was graded similarly to how card condition is graded, what grade would the questions get this week? PSA 8, near mint to mint, is what I'm giving the questions this week. Let me know if you guys agree or not. I give you guys a PSA 8. It was good, but, not 9 or 10 worthy.
Flippity Flip picked up a 1-of-1 finest super fractor Julio Jones this week. Congrats to him. That was a sweet card.
That pickup gets a PSA 10.
It does. I was after that. I bowed out way before the final price. So congrats.
Two questions on the same topic. Next, M. Proski says, what are your thoughts on LeBron's new Prism card? Iconic. And Talking Sports Guy says, please discuss the ugliness of the mini LeBron Prism. So two questions on the opposite end. Let me pull up a picture of the card itself. What do you think, man? Iconic or ugly?
I love it, and I also hate it because they got so close. So close to getting it perfect, but then they really screwed it up at the end, in my opinion.
Josh is like timing out for a second here. Let's see if we get him back. We might need to let him log back in. Josh, I'm sorry, man. You froze for a second there, buddy. I didn't get to hear much of that.
Yeah, they were so close. I said I loved it and I hated it at the same time. I loved it that they got the right photo. The size is too small. The ratio is off. But I don't want that to deter from the excitement over the card and people that are trying to pick it up. I know it's still like an important card this year, so I don't want to get too hung up on the ratio of the player size to card, but it does bother me. So that's my take.
Yeah, it's more pronounced as well when you see the card in sequence with other cards in a pack. So
Yeah.
when it stands alone, it's I would just caution people who are thinking about buying it to think about it like that. Are you going to like how it looks in your collection? You might. You definitely might. I prefer smaller pictures to larger pictures on cards, but that one's just too small.
Yeah, I'm guessing the theme of this week, not the theme, but like one of the main topics is going to be photo selection on cards, which I'm really, which I'm excited about because that means more people are paying attention to it, which to me says people are evolving in their taste and they're paying attention to more what's on the card versus, just like buying the grade or buying the set or whatever just because you're supposed to. So I am excited about that.
Nice. Good. Me too. We're getting into card aesthetics these days. It's palpable on Clubhouse as well. The evolution in collector taste that's happening before our eyes. It's awesome. Flippity Flip Cards had another very good question. Flippity Flip, your questions get a PSA 9 this week.
Ooh.
The group gets a PSA 8. Flippity Flip says, what are your thoughts on the Wednesday night PWCC auctions? I really like that question because there were some huge sales. So let me lay out a few of them, and then Josh, chime in if one piques your interest. So even though we've been seeing the 2003 Topps Chrome LeBron PSA 10 retreat, we're seeing other LeBron rookies and PSA 10s do very, very well. So this is the 2003 Flitter Mystique LeBron PSA 10. Really cool card. It's numbered to 999, and a PSA 10 sold for $13K in that auction. It's up 150% since last October. The 2003 Finest LeBron, also numbered to 999 PSA 10, sold for $30,100 with PWCC. It last sold for $20K 2.5 months ago, so it's up 50% over 2.5 months. Two really cool cards. The pop on the Flitter Mystique is 82. The pop on the Finest is 39. Maybe we'll pause here for a second and talk about these two PSA 10 LeBron rookie sales. Yes. I have tiny hands. This is actually a laptop screen.
My only comment is that on that rare stuff that doesn't sell too often, it just appears as though it just kind of keeps steadily going up. Whereas when we get these micro reactions to the Topps Chrome PSA 10 that sells almost every day, it's almost like panic because it's going down. Whereas that one, there's just no panic. It's nice and calm. I guess I'm just always going to keep tooting that horn that if you keep buying rare stuff that interests you, like you'll just always kind of win out. I don't know. That's my take on it. Those are neat cards. I guess I was more interested in the like massive amounts of gold refractor prism stuff that was hitting, and that's kind of that was like the big story of the auction to me. The PWCC out there's a single collection from a friend of mine that sent his entire LeBron PC to PWCC, and most of it was auctioned in that one auction. There was just like a ton of awesome stuff.
Yeah, it's a great story to tell there. Here's one of the big cards that he auctioned off. This is the 2008 Topps Chrome Gold LeBron PSA 10, also known as the Chalk Toss LeBron. It's numbered to 50. The PSA 10 population is 7. And say a little bit about this card, man, and maybe what you're able to divulge about that auction involving your friend.
Yeah, well, first of all, I own one of these cards, so keep that in mind. I'm biased towards it because I do own it and I like it. Yeah, him and I both bought one a few years ago. He's been collecting LeBron gold stuff for a long time, and he actually inspired me to collect a lot of what I do today. And I learned a lot from him. Very smart guy. He had a pretty legendary flicker of LeBron stuff that I still have it saved to my bookmarks. And that was always one that stood out to me, and I wanted one as well. I think maybe I actually got mine first, and then he got his. I can't remember. But he was just a big gem min guy. He actually didn't care if it was PSA or BGS 9.5, which I think is an upcoming topic. And it's interesting to point out, as a collector, he didn't really care which brand. He just wanted gem mint. And that was one of his favorites. Obviously, it's an iconic card. Probably, I don't know, one of the most iconic photos that you could get on a card, just because it's LeBron's, iconic chalk toss motion. The ratio is really nice, the proper size. And the horizontal doesn't really bother people. Most people want vertical cards, but on this one, it kind of works because he's like, his arms are spread out and it just kind of fits nicely. And it's just a cool card. And he had a lot of stuff like this. Like he had 09 Topps Chrome Gold, PSA 10 Pop 1, which is insane. Yeah, that one was an auction that sold for $85,000. A lot of Panini stuff. He collected a lot of Select Gold, Optic Gold. I don't think he had any Prism Golds in that auction, but nonetheless, lots of cool stuff. And this was probably the most popular of the golds that hit. But he also had an Ultimate 9.5, which did 187. SP Authentic 9.5. A lot of good stuff.
Overall, what was the take from the cards that he sold?
Like how much money?
Yeah, like what was the total collection value that he ended up netting, or I suppose grossing would be the word.
I think it was 1.7 million if you added them all up.
That's pretty phenomenal. Am I right?
And he's probably into all that stuff for, I don't know, 200K.
Okay, so that's simply phenomenal.
Probably maybe even less, but yeah.
Congratulations go out to that seller. And if I'm being frank, congratulations to several of the buyers as well, because I think the items went for pretty fair prices.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that all being auctioned at once, it makes it tough for each to get max dollar, just because like people that want that stuff, myself included, a lot of us can't afford to bid on all of them. So we just kind of pick and choose one, so that kind of like reduces the overall bidding power across all of them. So still, I actually thought they all performed very well, given all of that. So if I were him, I would be excited.
And so congrats are in order all around. Here's another one that sold in that
Yes.
auction. That shout out to Adam Lefko. We were all on Clubhouse the other night, and he said, something to the effect of, it would be cool to be able to show D Wade that he has a card that sold for $115,000. It's his rookie Topps Chrome Gold Refractor out of 50, PSA 10 Pop 6. So Nick of the Card Ladder team instantly whipped up a graphic to celebrate this sale, and here it is. So congrats to the seller and buyer of that card as well, and to Dwayne Wade, who's finally getting the respect he's due in this hobby.
So shout out to you, Chris, for getting this card added promptly and with great timing, and also once again absolutely crushing the predicted value. It's just like almost perfect. I know that like you didn't predict the value; it's not you guessing what it's going to be, but I think the work speaks for itself on putting in the time to get an accurate, data-driven predicted value is very important, and it just keeps showing that it's accurate time and time again. And having this card waiting in Card Ladder for people to look at after that auction ended it's important to me to see that kind of attention to the hobby, and we're not just working through a list necessarily. We're sort of like following the ebbs and flows of the hobby, and I think that's important. And it kind of like does tell the story, not only with the fluctuation in prices in the cards, but the cards that we choose to add at a given time. So I think that helps tell the story. So kudos.
Yeah, right on, man. Our methodology is not based on human judgment. Really, it's just based on historical relationships. That's it. And if that's just such a better way to do it, because it removes so much of the subjective bias that might be involved, and instead it just relies on in this hobby, man. We have decades and decades of rich history from which to draw. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's plenty of great data out there. It's just all about using our minds to put it to good use. There were some other cool cards that, Garrett, we will talk about Mile High. We have a question about that. There were some other cool cards to sell in that auction. Rave Reviews, Michael Jordan, PSA 10, which is a Pop 17 from 1997. Wow. That sold for $29K.
Wow.
That's an all-time high for that card. A Kobe BGS 9 Jambalaya sold for $28K. That's easily a record high for that card. That card was $8,500 last summer. Staggering price. This Curry 2009 Topps Gold PSA 10, which is a Pop 20, but the card itself has 2009 copies. This card sold for $80,000. Just an incredible price for that card. The previous sale was $11,000, or that's not the most recent sale, but a sale happened in October for $11,000. So that card went from $11,000 to $80,000 over the last 5 months. And we already talked about the Wade Jordan Skybox 3Ds, which is a Pop 22 PSA 10, did $13K. At this point, I'm just reading headlines. You guys can obviously go read the headlines on Card Ladder if you'd like to read more about it. But there you go. There's any final thoughts on those PWCC auctions? I mean, one of those days we tracked $7 million in eBay sales, which is easily the most sales volume we've ever tracked in one day on eBay. So that is incredible.
No, yeah, I'm ready to move on to Mile High. I was going to add that It's no secret that you and I are fans of PWCC and then the platform and the way they run things. I just thought that their presentation of this last auction was top notch. It honestly just makes me love cards. Just looking through their auctions, I just get so excited looking through their previews, and then when it goes live, it like really raises the excitement level in the hobby for me. And just looking through all those cards you showed, it's like, damn, we have so many sweet cards. We just have good cards.
Yeah, I agree with you, dude. Well, kudos to PWCC on great auction. So Jesse J. Pender says, lots of MJs sold on Mile High last night. What were the deals, in your opinion? Well, I can tell you one deal right now off the top of my head was the 1996-97 Scoring Kings insert Michael Jordan PSA 9. The previous sale just from a few weeks ago was $2,700, and it sold on Mile High for $860 and some change. It literally, somebody got a $2,000 discount on a roughly $2,500 card. So that was maybe the steal of the night from a percentage point of view. And then it just so happens that the buyer was, I posted this to my Instagram story, and it just so happened that the buyer read the story, and he messaged me proof that he was the one who bought the card, and I congratulated him, obviously. So big congrats to the winner of that card. You got a freaking steal.
Yes, lots of deals just in the stuff that I saw. And I don't know if that's Mile High's fault necessarily, or this auction sort of got lost in the shuffle just with like Golden running, the big PWTC auction. Maybe people just forgot about it. And you and I mentioned this, that I think you asked maybe a story question on it. Like, did people even know about it? And I think you got a lot of no's of like, I didn't even know that auction was running. That's kind of a frustrating piece to the hobby right now, that we're all sort of like in the dark on a lot of like where the cards are coming from, since they're spread out right now.
It's a huge problem. Huge problem. I just tried to access the story from my Instagram account, but it says you're live. I was like, oh crap, I can't look at my story right now. There was the vote. I asked people how many people knew that an MJ Fleer PSA 10 was up for auction with Mile High, right? Because that's a card that a lot of eyes are following. And it ultimately ended at about $420K after buyer's premium, which is a drop-off from the previous prices. And I got several hundred replies, and I think it was 80 to 85% of people said they did not know that card was even at auction with Mile High, which is a huge problem. A huge problem that we have cards setting important prices and comps being recorded, and the vast majority of people don't even know that it's happening. That's a gigantic problem, in my opinion.
Leland auctions are ending tonight. Like a lot. Big cards.
So there's a Jordan Fleer PSA 10. Oh, Adam wants to know, can we do Card Tank in hour 2? Adam, if you're awake for hour 2, we'll bring you in and we'll do it, dude.
Do what?
Card Tank.
Oh, he wants to join as a third.
Yeah, and we'll have to bring in a fourth, I think, too, to do Card Tank.
God, I hope I'm drunk by that time.
Well, that should be the goal here. Tell me a little bit. So there's a Jordan Fleer PSA 10 that already ended, right?
Yep. About the same range. I'm not gonna math it real quick, but 356 before the BP. I think that's about the same range, right? About 420.
Yes, sir.
Really cool LeBron here that ended. I hate to just point out LeBron cards over and over, but there's some really high bids on the LeBrons. The Brady didn't move, which I think is interesting. It went for a really, really high price, but it hasn't moved in weeks, and it didn't move tonight. I don't know if there's really any drama to that necessarily. I'm not sure, because normally on auctions like this, if you take the lead with 2 weeks to go, you're expecting to be passed. So I don't know if there's anything to that, but that's interesting that it didn't really move. The Luka finished at 126, I think, about where we predicted it as well. In the BGS 9, that's a nice card. LeBron at 9.5 went a little bit higher than the one last night on PWCC, which is interesting. Maybe the subs are higher. I didn't check. LeBron Logo Man is still running. Kobe Bryant. PMG Gold is still running at 108 before BP. Wow, that is a staggering price. You see that?
Wow. Nice.
108, still going before BP. Wow. Not much else. Not too much else to point out. There's another Topps Chrome LeBron that sold at 19 before BP.
Okay, but after, so that's about 22.5 after BP.
This one seemed Shield Auto Mahomes sold for only 15 grand. I don't know if that's. I guess it's one of those blockchain cards, so maybe that's kind of dumb. I don't really keep up with stuff, but it seems kind of cool to get a Shield Auto Mahomes 9.5 for only 15K. There's is that Ovechkin Cup RPA numbered to 8. Wow, for 55K, 59K.
Awesome.
Anyways, yeah, that's about it.
Okay, well, and we're only halfway through with the auctions, so we had huge PWC, and PWCC was probably fortunate / smart to have theirs end first, and then Mile High followed, and then Leland's followed, and now Golden will bring us home. They actually, this auction ends over the course of 3 days.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
It does, and we have questions about the Golden auction, so let's move on to that. But let me highlight one thing while Josh pulls that up. There's a great account on Twitter. He's kind of skeptical of cards. He's very skeptical of lots of markets, so he's a good read. MT&T Trading. He said, why is the Jordan rookie on collect? He tweeted this on April 1st. He said, why is the Jordan rookie on collectible at 420K market cap when the last sale was 492K on Golden? And then he said, here's the answer. He tweeted this yesterday because we got the Mile High sales in very quickly. 420K Mile High sale according to Card Ladder. The Golden sales continue to be outliers. And then he goes on to provide some analysis. So basically, though, what he was alerting everybody to before the Mile High auction closed, he was saying, look, collectibles market cap on the Jordan Fleer PSA 10 is at 420, and that doesn't line up with the last few comps. But it turns out that market cap actually predicted what the card ended at ultimately here with Mile High and with Leland's. Just a little food for thought there.
Yep. This Brady Champ ticket, BGS 8, with a 10 auto is going for significantly less than the Leland one, which I don't agree with. I'd rather have the 10 auto than the 8.5, and the BAS is odd to me. That Leland auction just is very strange. 1.9 million before BP, and this one on Golden, very similar card. Basically the same value in my opinion. You know, higher auto, lower grade. It just those kind of wash out to me, and it's like less than half the price. I'm not sure if there's anything to that, but pretty big gap in price on the two Brady Champ tickets. Maybe there's a Brady person that can weigh in.
And we should note that the Golden auction is still many hours away from ending, so it could go up, right?
I guess I was pointing out that the Leland one jumped to 1.9 like right away, and then the Golden one also jumped to its current price, and they both have sat there since.
Right, great point. I would prefer the BGS 8 Auto 10. That's just my own preference.
The Luka Gold is at 325. The Jordan Fleer is already at 400 on one of the copies, so it's already passed the two.
So it's already at 480, but in fairness, some collectors do draw distinctions between PSA 10s, and they believe
it's the new slab, dude.
Oh, it's the new case. Okay, well, I stand corrected then. It's that new slab. It must be.
Still, maybe the best purchase of the year. Well, I guess it's more than a year now, but remember when that Giannis sold last year for 3K?
Oh my God. Yeah, and it's a fun little story to tell because the seller, well, it's not fun. It's sad, but the seller of that Giannis Gold 9.5 was a teacher who decided that the market had gotten hot enough. He always picks one player to prospect each year. He just happened to pick Giannis during his rookie year. He picked those cards up for a couple $100, I think, including the Prism Gold. And then, going into the 2019-20 season, he said, hey, it's time to sell Giannis. I'm worried he might get injured. I think the cards have gotten high enough. I'll take the money and I'll help pay down my mortgage. And so he sold his Giannis Prism Rainbow. It was all gem mints, and it included the gold. And he ended up taking home all in total $50,000 in total. Okay. Had he held that card just until now, I mean, it's already at 325, and that's pre-BP, so it's closing in on 400K. I mean, I feel bad for that guy.
Can we talk about not auctions for a while? I don't want to spend too much time on auctions.
Sure. Okay. Lots of questions here. All right. So let me just skip over a market question for a minute. We'll come back to it. All right. This is from Say Hey Cards. He says, to steal a Bill Simmonsism, are we sure grading is good? By this, I mean, is grading worth the amount of time we spend dissecting it as a hobby? All this is, sorry, James, we just put out a new sports cards culture episode about grading. All this to say, I think sometimes we spend more time talking about grading than the actual cards. And I don't want to get flamed for being anti-grading. I do think it's important. All things being equal, of course, I prefer PSA 10. But the best cards are the best cards, not because of their grade, but because of the damn card. If the card needs to be gemmed to be considered worthwhile, maybe that card sucks. Okay, I'll stop before I get myself in trouble. Maybe we can expound in this on Clubhouse. No, sir, we'll expound on this right now. What do you think, Josh?
I don't need to, man. He just he word for word went through what I would have said, so I don't even want to try to improve on that, really.
No, I think that's awesome. All right, yeah. Dude, look, when the question answers itself, that gets a PSA 10.
I think just having the airtime for reading that question out loud is important for people to hear and give themselves a nice reminder. I don't think we need to hear me say it again.
Agreed. I totally agree. I think sometimes questions are worth reading just so people know what other people out there are thinking. This question comes in from 8209 Patrick. Actually, it's not a question. It's more of a rant as well. He says, there has been a lot of talk about how the market has softened a little bit over the last few weeks, but no one talks about a major possible reason for this. We know tons of high-end cards have transitioned to golden for the most part in other marketplaces that are not on eBay. High-end cards soared in prices when there was a minimal number of cars being sold with extremely high values. But now with the huge influx of everybody selling high-end stuff, they all get buried on golden. We all know their site is the worst part about the auction house. It's hard to search and find things. A lot of people are on phones. It takes forever to go through them on the phone, even on the computer. There are constantly cards being sold that no one ever sees in these auction houses. They would normally easily be able to track them on eBay. Now there are more and more auction houses popping up, and it takes even more time to try and find grails in places all over the internet. End rant.
Yep, kind of same reaction to that question as the previous one, but you and I know more about where cards are selling and what they're selling for than almost anyone. It's our job to know, and we are struggling with it. So I think his sentiment is very well received throughout the hobby, that it's getting a little bit hard to keep track of all this stuff, and with the prices of stuff going up so much in the last few months, the supply has really, really picked up a lot recently, and I think that's just supply and demand. It doesn't. We don't really need to overthink it. The supply went way up. Some of these auctions are 3 times the size of what they were a few months ago, 4 times the size, bigger. And so when the supply goes up that much, there's just if there's not the relative demand to match it, then the prices just go down. It's just kind of the reality. And I don't even think it's bad. I think it's good that this is happening. It's just like a natural market reaction to prices going up, so then they kind of correct themselves and go down. And I anticipate us to get back on a healthy natural progression of climb on cards that deserve it, and cards that don't, they're just going to keep going down. It's just, this is how the market works.
Agree, completely agree. Actually, considering everything that you just said and what Patrick said, the way that prices have held up and in some cases continued to increase is actually pretty phenomenal. That's what I would say about that.
Yep. I mean, I was definitely nervous about how much stuff had gone up over the last few months, to the point of dude, I know this is going to make people sell a bunch, supply's going to go up. I'm nervous that this, and then, a bunch of celebrities had gotten in. It kind of was hitting that mania point where it's like, oh my gosh, is this the part where we crash? And I wouldn't categorize what's happened as a reaction I wouldn't describe it as a crash at all. You just go on Card Ladder and look at the all-time highs that continue to be set. It's a crash on certain specific cards that went up too fast, but there's definitely not a crash on the hobby, and I feel like the interest in the hobby is still extremely strong. Basing that off of the people we interact with, the content we see, the discussions we hear. So ears to the ground, things feel stronger than ever, to be honest.
100%. It's nothing new. We talk about this. We've talked about this for months. The hobby itself may or may not be in a bubble. Does not seem to be, and I'll show you why in a second. But individual cards exhibit properties of a bubble and peak and crash all the time. It happens all the time. It happens mostly none of us even realize it. We don't even realize that there are different card bubbles happening every single week. And you get the middle finger graph. And it okay, exactly. Okay, you're showing some examples. So that's nothing new. This is always a good macro indicator in my opinion, and it needs to be discounted because as the days roll by, more and more cards get added. But nonetheless, here when we were in October of 2020, we were seeing sales in between 500,000 and 800,000. A few days total sales volume on Card Ladder was over 1 million. Some days were as low as 250,000. But zoom out and track the overall trend. This is total daily sales volume. You can see it going up, 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 up. It hits a sort of peak here in mid-February. Nothing is surprising there. We see a retreat back down to roughly $1 million days right here. But look at where we're going now, guys. Look at the direction that the trend is pointing once more. We are pointing back upwards again. This week we had 3 midweek days of over $2 million in sales. I actually don't know if that's ever happened before. Midweek days. So macro trends are pointing upwards again.
Yep.
All right. Let's see here. Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Did you have something to say?
No, I was just gonna say we haven't even talked about PSA yet, which we've talked about it on SEC and we went live, but there's got to be some PSA stuff, right? Or maybe the photo stuff. I'm just trying to grab some of the big topics.
Let's go to the photo stuff.
Okay.
Bunch of questions on the photos here. Okay. Trading Card Finds says, please discuss recycling photos on cards. Drake's PC says, what are your thoughts on Panini using recycled photos as well as players on the card not matching their nameplate? Is this laziness or something else? The Boulevard of Cards says, is there some insight into the challenges that card manufacturers face when it comes to photography? With photography repeated from one product to another and even 1 year to another, it feels lazy. But I'm looking to better understand the obstacles before yelling at Panini. And finally, of course, Card Porn says, here is another vote on discussing Panini's lack of original photography. Do they have their photographers on a strict budget or something? They're not making enough money to work out how to take more photos. So there's a series of questions to set it up. I'm going to pull up some pictures of some card photo duplicates. And please, man, feel free to take this baton and run with it.
God, the Durant ones are the worst, dude. They're so bad. They're so bad. Look at that. It's like disgusting how bad it is. And it's 2 years in a row of this.
He hasn't played.
Yeah. He played a couple games this year. Come on. Get your guys out there for those 2 games. Yeah, I don't want to just like bash on Panini because I don't know the inner workings of like their budgets. Like we can't just like blame individual employees necessarily if they don't have the right budgets. And like COVID has obviously played a part in some of those like stuff getting rushed out. The timelines for the release dates are different from previous years. I don't really know how much that stuff all plays into it. Maybe Chris, you and Christina interviewed the Panini guy. Maybe you guys can help me out on that front. But like, it is extremely frustrating as a collector. Obviously, like, especially as someone who places a great deal of emphasis on the photo. Like, they're fucking pictures of sports cards. They should have good pictures of sports athletes, right? I feel like that's a minimum. But, maybe they sense that the customer doesn't care as much about the photo anymore just based on, like, the market hype. But as we talked about, you and me through DMs, is like the collector is evolving, and even the investor that's entered the hobby in the last year, they're evolving and their tastes are changing, and they're starting to like realize, okay, if I'm going to be collecting cards, I want cool cards to look at. I don't want freaking Zion cradling a basketball like a baby, and I don't want Kevin Durant fucking standing there looking like he just got off his burner account and he's pissed off. It matters, and it's frustrating, and I'm here to voice the frustration on behalf of collectors because it's fucking annoying.
I just want to
Well
say
said.
it's nothing new.
Here, come over closer. Don't go too long.
I just want to say it's nothing new though. Like linchpins is the same photo as, I'm forgetting which one it is. The Michael Jordan linchpins is the same photo used in another product. Like it's not a new phenomenon.
Natural born thrillers.
Natural born thrillers. Thank you. It's not a new phenomenon, and there are a lot of issues that I talked about in Clubhouse today that you have to think about.
Wait, you were talking on Clubhouse?
Yeah, about this subject.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Like there's a lot of different issues that you have to think about that we as a collector aren't taking into consideration as the company is working. He's pulling up the natural thrillers now.
Keep talking as I show.
So one of the issues, and I'm sure there are people who can talk better about this, but one of the issues is that player photos and card designs are two separate entities at Panini. So someone designs the card with like 3 specific players in mind, with like drafted drafts photos that they like put in as a placeholder. But once the card set design is in place, it steps over to another person, like another team, and then that team picks the photos based on like what can fit in the design.
So you're saying it might be bureaucratic.
Yeah, and then it has to be approved by like the NBA and the NBAPA, like in order for a card to move forward. So I think that like we're making it more simple than it actually is. And I said this earlier and I'm going to say it again. Like I'm not trying to just like be pro Panini on this, but like we have to like, unless we know for a fact that like I think that the benefit of the doubt has to be given. And I think all of us are very quick to be like, oh, that's just so simple. Like, just change the fucking photo. But it's not that simple. And I just want to caution everyone to just like, people spend a lot of time putting these cards together and picking these photos, and they're amazing photographers that work for Panini. And like to belittle them and their work is just not cool, guys.
Yeah, we have some work of a Panini photographer on our office wall, in fact. Anyway, so it sounds like it might be a problem in the chain of command, or an information sharing problem. But by the same token, I think collectors need to really voice that frustration so that Panini understands at the corporate level that if they have to expend some more resources and find ways to solve that problem, if it is a solvable problem, collectors would definitely appreciate it.
The Eric Pascal Kevon Looney issue is pretty embarrassing as well. That's like a quality control issue where they got the wrong player on the card or the wrong picture.
Right.
I guess I'm not bothered by the reuse of photos necessarily. Like if it can be reused in a creative way and like put in a different background, that's fine. I guess the Kevin Durant thing just really annoys me. Like if I was a Kevin Durant collector, I'm just like waiting for a cool card of his to collect in a Nets uniform, and I still don't have anything to choose from. It's just frustrating. And that one's probably not even their fault, based on like Kevin Durant's time and him not being on the court and not having the proper people at the stadiums for those few games that he's played. I understand that side of it. It's just mostly like if we're spending the money in the hobby, and this is happening, I just won't buy the cards. So like either figure it out or I'm not going to buy the cards.
Well said. Christina, did you rolled over here like you might have had some last thoughts?
Yeah, I was just going to say about the Durant, like, knowing what we have seen from him and his interactions with people, both public and private, are you surprised that, like, he didn't go all out during a, like, fixed photo shoot in a uniform? Like, just want to say that.
I'm almost as annoyed at Durant as I am at Panini for that whole thing. Like, I just like, dude, there's people that like this stuff. Like, try a little bit harder here, please. His personality comes through in those cards completely. Like, he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't understand like the meaning of it for his legacy going forward. And guys like LeBron, Kobe, and Jordan did understand it. They took it more seriously. Like, Kobe did a very good job working with Panini and like signing the card properly. I thought Jordan and LeBron did a great job working with an exclusive with Upper Deck. Those guys understood how this plays into their legacy, and I'm sure Carbon could help me with this a lot more. But Kevin Durant does not take it seriously, and it's very frustrating.
Well, since we're already on the topic, Card Hub gave us the shortest topic, word-wise, letter-wise, of the night. His topic is Kevin Durant.
Man, I'm just like, can you do this one? I'm just like gonna be bashing on Kevin Durant for the next 20 minutes.
Dude, just do it. Just let's get a little edge. Let's get a little edge on here. Go ahead, go for it, man. We all understand that we all have our opinions, and they're just opinions. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want it to be taken as like I'm bashing Durant to prop up LeBron, similarly how people do that to LeBron to prop up Jordan. I can see how it can be construed that way, but I just don't like Kevin Durant. Like, all these things keep happening, and each time it's just like, come on, dude, seriously? And then like his really lame-ass apology where he's like, he basically like apologized for getting caught. And it was like, dude, seriously, you're not going to even apologize for the words you said? And like literally telling the guy to meet him somewhere to beat his ass. It's like, who talks like that to people? And he's like, we were friends. We were just joking around. You're clearly not friends, so you're lying about that. You hate the guy, obviously. You're pissed off at what happened. And then, I don't know. It's just, I don't see how the guy's collectible. Like, he's just like obnoxious and he's like smug about it. He's not playing in any of the games. He's clearly like resting for the playoffs. I don't know. Just help me out here. I don't know. I don't like him.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that we haven't talked about yet on the Kevin Durant topic that has to be talked about is, the Brooklyn Nets have formed an absolute, a super team, the likes of which, at least offensively, we've never seen before. When it was Durant and Kyrie plus a Brooklyn Nets roster that made the playoffs without those two, already that was a pretty darn loaded team. Then they made some more moves and they added James Harden. So now you have two NBA MVPs, both arguably in the prime of their careers or pretty close to it. Plus Kyrie, an NBA champion himself. You've got Joe Harris, who just is a knockdown spot-up shooter, a Kyle Korver, but with more athleticism. And then you've got a rotating set of bigs with Nick Claxton, who's young, who's really coming up quickly here, DeAndre Jordan. Then you go ahead and add LaMarcus Aldridge, who, for a period of time of his career was all NBA caliber. You had Blake Griffin, who for a period of time of his career was first team all NBA caliber. And you kind of have this super team that formed. And I have to look back when this team was forming and think, we all should have expressed a little more concern about this because you look at how good this team is. Durant hasn't even played in 2 months. And they have damn near the NBA's best record. I mean, this team is freaking loaded. That James Harden trade would not have happened in the David Stern era, I have to believe. So I think that has to be mentioned as well. Is that we have this super team, and then okay, now let's tie this into Kevin Durant's cards. So what's going on with Kevin Durant cards right now, man? How can they possibly be skyrocketing like this when he hasn't played a game in over 2 months?
How does Trae Young go up when he's not in the bubble?
Trae Young cards experience the greatest period of prosperity they probably will ever experience during the 9-month period between when stay-at-home orders came down in March of 2020 and when NBA play resumed regular season in December of late December 2020 that he'll probably never see again. Yeah,
it's just, people are prospecting on it, waiting, like expecting him to win a few more championships because of the way the Nets look and they're pricing in. They're expecting him to come back healthy and look dominant like he has in the past. And that's just the hobby. People are prospecting. It's not on actual performance on the court. And in fact, when he comes back, I expect prices to go down because that's how this works. And I do want to address the Rappaport thing. Just the fact that Durant has to like stoop down to the level of Rappaport, like the fact that I have to compare the two guys, and the fact that he's stooping to the level of like trolls on Twitter and 15-year-old kids and having to tell them, it's just like that's kind of where he's at to me. Like we have to sit here and compare him to people that should be below him on the totem pole, but he's stooping down to their level and threatening to beat their ass. It's like, yeah, of course Rappaport is like a punk and he shouldn't have called him out. Like, why are we trying to compare Durant down to that level anyways? He shouldn't even be in these conversations. He should be above all that stuff. He should know better. So like, you actually comparing him to Rappaport is proving my point.
Who would win in a fight, Michael Rappaport or Kevin Durant?
God, I hope it's Durant. He's a professional athlete. He's 6'11". Dude, are you kidding? It's like yeah, he would drop Rappaport in a second. It's like, oh, great. Wow, you're going to beat up Michael Rappaport, a comedian. Yeah, you're real tough, dude. Come on.
Kevin Durant better hope and pray that Michael Rappaport does not show up at that corner, because that would probably be the worst thing that could result from this.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose. That's a lose-lose right there.
Yeah. Okay. Have we exhausted the Kevin Durant topic, or is there anything else? Because now is a good time to talk about it, because in 2 months it's not going to be interesting to talk about when the market corrects itself, but now is a good time. Is there anything else you want to talk about on Durant?
I mean, my opinion. I'm allowed to give my opinion. I just, there it is. We try to remain middle ground on stuff. That just, it reaches a point for me where I just have to call it out, and I'm just seeing his market go up and up and up, and it's just like for no reason. He's not even playing, and then this happens. It's just like, all right, guys, come on, reality check. This stuff's going down. His price has gone up too much. I don't even know people that collect him. Like, I just don't see the market there. It just doesn't make any sense why all this is happening. So I just calling it like I see it. With we have several times before, stuff goes crazy. We seemingly are one of the few content creators who are like, this doesn't make sense. It's gonna go down.
Well said, man. Very well said. This question comes in from SAJC Cards. Has the soccer card market reached legit status yet in Josh's eyes? If it has, what convinced him? And if it has not, why not?
It has, because the rare iconic stuff has held up really well, and it's some of it's gone down, but it's still overall held up well. And there's just a lot of people that keep messaging me about it over and over. So there's enough people that are still interested in it, that have stuck through that big downturn, that says to me that it actually is, it has some holding power to it. I don't really know. I don't have much else to say.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, it should never be looked down upon that people say, yeah, this is new and it looks like it's doing well, but I'm going to wait and I'm going to see, and let me collect more data and amend my opinion as more data comes in. And I think that's been the approach to soccer. That's the approach to prospects. That's the approach to anything that gains a momentum early. Is that fair?
Yeah, and also I'll add that I don't want to be looked to as the guy that overly criticizes things. I try to be the guy. I'm trying to represent the person who is not just hyping up and pumping up everything infinitely, and trying to be more realistic about things. So like you said, when I saw that I thought I was being overly hyped, I was trying to be the realist to kind of level it out. And now that people are excited about it and there's people that are genuinely collecting it, I'm definitely not going to be someone to be cynical about that and try to criticize people for what they enjoy collecting. That's the opposite of what I would like to do. So if people enjoy it and they're collecting it and they have favorite players, Mbappe and all these guys, dude, go nuts, have fun with it. I think that's great. I've talked about that a bunch, where I like that there's different avenues popping up other than just basketball and football. And so I think it's fantastic that if soccer can stay long term and it has the actual holding power, that's just better for everybody. The whole hobby is better for it. I think it's great.
Okay, with the remaining 5-6 minutes of hour one, let's attempt to tackle PSA. I actually filtered out all the questions on PSA, but I that was probably an error in judgment on my behalf. I think we should talk about PSA. Even though we have a full sports cards culture episode about it on YouTube, which I advise everybody to check out. Not everybody listens to both. So let's talk a little bit about PSA. None of the questions were specific. It was just kind of, what are your thoughts on the fact that PSA has halted submissions at all of the service levels except for those that cost $300 per card and up. And this was published in a letter that came out earlier this week that the president of PSA, Steve Sloan, sent out. He said that over the last 3 days, they had received more cards than in the prior 3 months combined, and that PSA, in order to provide its service responsibly to its customers, they simply had to push pause. They hope to bring back other service levels by July 1st, but that's not a hard and fast deadline. So what do you think, Josh? Thoughts on PSA?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be optimistic about the decision because I would like to see PSA obviously get the backlog almost reset and give them a chance to sort of, especially with the new ownership, them going private. I think this is a good time for them to get a chance to reset and sort of catch up on things, and then it'll give them time to maybe assess some like future business decisions on what price levels do they bring back. Like you talked about this, do they ever bring back something under $100? Based on what we see in the next 3 months, they might not, and I still think they're going to get a ton of submissions at the $300 service level, and enough to where they're like, should we ever bring something back less than this? Anything could happen, really. I think it's, I guess the bigger discussion is like the ripple effect on what it does to everything else. So why don't you jump in at that?
Yeah, I'm having a thought for the first time here on this topic, and the thought is this: they didn't raise their prices high enough on March 1st, and they didn't raise their prices soon enough either. They were knowledgeable about the excessive backlog going back many, many months. And I understand that in the last 3 days, they received more than in the last 3 months combined. But I also understand that we can all see the complete through dates, and they already were getting 8-9 months behind on their lowest service levels. Now, it seems that at first an approach was taken of try to please everybody. Pull up the prices just a little bit, but not too much that we off-put too many people. And then the problem just piled up quite literally, and as packages pour in, and it got to a point to where PSA literally had to say, we cannot grade anything for 3 months, basically, unless you're paying us $300 or more per card to do it. I think the problem was allowed to spiral out of control. I think the people who said early on that they should have raised their prices more and they should have done it sooner, I think those people have proved correct. I think everybody would agree that they would rather have at least some grading options besides only $300 or more with PSA, but we can't have that now because the problem just simply grew to a level that it could no longer be managed. So I'm a little disappointed about that, honestly, as I reflect on this a little bit more. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, yeah, we've been pretty critical tonight, so let's just keep it going.
I guess it's one of those nights.
I do. Can you please talk about just for a minute the trickle down to the other grading companies? Then I want to talk about 9.5 to PSA 10 ratios.
Sure. Yeah. So obviously, if PSA, we saw information last week from PSA that said they were receiving 500,000 cards a week. There is no way in hell that the other grading companies will be able to absorb even a fraction of that spillover should it trickle down to BGS and SGC. SGC knew that, and they got out ahead of it, and they immediately tripled their grading fee from $25 to $75. Now, that's the type of price hike that's actually going to stem demand a little bit. And it's going to that type of price hike is going to prevent people from sending in cards to get graded. PSA going from $10 to $20 is not, but $25 to $75, that's how you piss people off and you make people stop submitting cards at that price level. BGS, of course, to my knowledge, has not done anything, leading from behind as usual. We'll see if BGS does anything or what they do. I do think that one of the potential systemic consequences of this is that these other grading companies become overwhelmed. In particular, now I'm thinking of BGS because SGC raised their prices quickly. If BGS takes on over the next month 500,000, a million more cards, that could, put them in a real hole, and that could put them in a position to where their complete through dates and turnaround times are starting to look like 12, 18, 24 months. That could be really devastating for their brand and for their ability to complete orders. I wouldn't be totally shocked if BGS even followed PSA's lead and also stopped accepting submissions for a while. We very well could find ourselves in a position where you just literally cannot get a card graded by any of the big companies without paying quite a bit of money. And honestly, that might be the way of the future. So a couple thoughts there. You said, if feel free to comment on that, or else go on to BGS 9.5 versus PSA 10.
No, yeah, your point about BGS is valid. I'm definitely nervous for them. It's a scary crossroad right here for them. They're gonna have to make a decision here soon. Much like SGC had to do, that there's going to be some decision that has to be made. Otherwise, you're, like you said, you're going to get into these massive 2-year-long backlogs and stuff. I'm not sure what they're going to do. I'm not sure what I would do if I were them. It's almost, it's just a really tough decision. I'm not sure. The BGS 9.5 PSA 10 ratio has come up a lot more recently. Like an initial reaction to PSA closing is like, well, screw that, then I'll just go buy other grading companies or whatever. And I've long defended the PSA 10 to 9.5 ratio just because that's kind of what the market wants, and I can't really argue against the ratio if that's what it is. It's just kind of fact. It has moved up enough to me, like the difference in the ratio has moved steadily up and up and up enough to where I would definitely not be afraid to buy existing BGS 9.5, especially true gem cards. The ratio is pretty massive. It's like 2.5 in a lot of cases, and at that rate, as like the collectors and the collector mindset evolves and more people morph into collectors, I think the gem mint thing becomes less of an issue, whether that's PSA or BGS 9.5. The only concern is, again, what you just stated, where I'd be more concerned about BGS as a whole, like the entire company, to where I would be nervous buying a lot of BGS stuff, knowing that the company itself might be facing some trouble. But overall, like I like 9.5s right now. I've been buying a lot more of them just because I don't feel like paying 2.5x for what is seemingly the same card, especially on a quad 9.5. There's my one little take where I'm actually recommending something or whatever, but I don't know. I normally just kind of stick with whatever the market says is what it is, but in this case, I like the 9.5 stuff right now. I think it's a strong buy because we're getting to a point where people aren't going to be able to grade existing cards as easily. So grade new cards. So the existing ones out in the wild are going to kind of start to drive the values of things. And if you can buy existing 9.5s, I think that's it's a good play.
Yeah, good point. And I think BGS is as scary of a proposition as they're potentially facing as a company, with the potential of just an overwhelming supply of cards probably showing up to their doorstep over the next few weeks, unless they do something to curb that very quickly, is worrisome. It's a side note. It's very interesting that we have an industry, and the problem with our industry is that too many people want too many of its goods in too large of a quantity that the industry just literally cannot even scale, despite all of its efforts, despite hundreds of millions of capital of dollars of capital being infused into it, such as a collector's universe acquisition. Even still, the industry cannot scale quickly enough to provide and meet the demand for its services. It's quite, and I cannot think of anything like this in any industry. I cannot think of anything like this. It's unbelievable. But I wanted to say BGS, while they do have some downside, obviously, the upside potential is tremendous. If that company ever rights the ship, if they ever get a cutting edge modern marketing aspect to their presence on social media and in promotions, if they ever update the brand imaging, if they ever really take the idea of competing with PSA seriously, and or if the company is bought out or acquired in a fashion similar to Collector's Universe, if any of those things ever happen, the upside on BGS is absolutely tremendous. Those gaps could close extremely quickly, and I'll always be loyal to the BGS brand because of the magazines from the 90s and because I consider Dr. James Beckett to be an absolute icon. So I remain bullish and optimistic. Well, let's not call it bullish. I remain hopeful that BGS can right the ship.
Yeah, I mean, and as I've said throughout the show, like you and I in our show, we've always kind of been, I don't want to say we take the opposite take as everyone else just to be contrarian, but like it's more of like a balance to where everyone just kind of like reacts one way and they move in one direction, and we sort of like are the ones to kind of remind of the balance that's necessary. And like, BGS isn't going to just get swallowed up tomorrow, and they're not going to, just get crushed. Like, there is some attention that can be still paid to BGS, and they still have a lot of brand equity, and they have a lot of really nice cards out in the wild still that aren't going anywhere anytime soon. And so, like, they still carry a lot of weight. And like you said, the name James Beckett will kind of always have that name brand equity. So, yeah, I don't think if you're just like, I'm going to only buy quad 9.5 BGS 9.5s until this ratio comes down, I don't think that. I think that's a totally reasonable decision.
Nice. I think that was a pretty good first hour, don't you?
Dude, that was the most content we've ever packed into an hour, like ever.
I think so. I think that
I'm
hour
exhausted.
was pretty darn good. Okay.
I'm gonna get
All
so
right,
many
let's take a
Durant.
break
I'm
for
gonna
2 minutes.
get so many Durant. I'm gonna get so many Durant things on my DMs. I'm ready. Bring it on.
Oh, Josh is gonna be busy this weekend, replying to Kevin Durant takes. All right, we'll be back in 2 minutes, guys, for hours 2 and potentially 3. Hello.
Well,
Let me get it taken real quick while people pour in. There was a question that was sent in from Dormant Stash. The question was, what are your thoughts on Michael Jordan investing in Top Shot? I personally do not get the hype of pursuing a digital video collection. And let me just show you what he's referring to here. So there was some news that came out here not long ago. Oops. Michael Jordan joins a $350 investment. Michael Jordan and Kevin Durant, they're investing into Dabra Labs, and obviously they announced the name of the investors. So this actually right here is my entire Michael Jordan collection. I'm preparing to send it to auction. These are the grails and then the lesser ones. So if you'll see in the next golden auction, it'll be called the Chris Hoge collection. And that's all I have to say about that.
Also, keep in mind he's an owner in the league. He has actual financial incentive behind Top Shot. So this is a financial move. I don't think he cares one way or the other about cards versus Top Shot. This is just a financial play.
Yeah, I'm obviously kidding, but if he gets look, I already turned on Mark Cuban. All right, I already turned on Mark Cuban, not for supporting Top Shot, but for bad mouthing cards. So, tread carefully, MJ.
We already realized that if Luka was literally begging you to be your best friend, you would say no. So Michael Jordan is not immune to any sort of.
Be careful, MJ.
I will point out, though, my man LeBron has not yet gotten involved in this garbage.
Wise move, as usual.
I'm totally just piling on now at this point.
Yeah, no, I've had time to stew over this. Be upset about it. Summertime Cards sent me the news, and I literally said I might just sell all of my cards.
You know how Kevin Durant has invested in like literally every sports card company at this point? I should start a rumor that he tried to invest in Card Ladder, and we were like, no, we don't even want your money. You're not even playing, bro.
Yeah. That'd be okay with me. Okay.
He's probably in here about to, want to use one of his burners and like start ripping on me.
He's texting you an address as we speak.
The corner of whatever. Luckily, I don't live in Brooklyn.
Like, I'm playing the Suns in a month, guy.
Ooh, let's do it.
Um,
Are we masking up there, KD?
Let's see. What do we want to do? Should we go through some more questions?
Sure.
This comes from Lingua Sports Cards. Do you care at all about the 2021 Major League Baseball season? Why or why not?
I don't. I'm very diplomatic, so I care about how the baseball card market is reacting to the start of the season.
Okay, fair point.
I just don't know enough about baseball, like, to be honest. I don't follow the sport. I just don't know it. I mean, you know more about it than me at this point. You have to. You've been understanding the market a little bit better, right?
A little bit better. Yeah, I mean, I can talk somewhat intelligently about the cards we're tracking, but I couldn't contextualize it in baseball history. Here's a question for you and for the chat. Can you really follow two sports, especially one like baseball that requires daily paying attention? And basketball is pretty much every other day. Can you really follow two sports closely and still have balance and time for the rest of your life? Because I think you can only follow one at a time, and I think that really served the basketball football cycle.
Yeah. I'm glad you ended it with that, because basketball and football don't really overlap. So that's
They do it only a little bit.
That's why those are, like the two most popular sports. Maybe it's just that like they line up nicely, and they're the most popular right now, and it's really easy for someone to have both of those in their lives and nothing else.
Carbon follows 6 sports. Good night. I believe you. You have an encyclopedic knowledge of sports that just doesn't seem to end. Football is nice too, because you really only have to pay attention to gameplay for a few hours a week. Baseball, you have to pay attention for 20, 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
But my dad was informing me that the Cubs on opening day were horrific. They had 2 hits, and they don't have any good starting pitching, so it's going to be tough for me to get interested.
I'm actually a closet Cubs fan, and that whole playoff run when they won the World Series was by far the most baseball I've ever watched in my life. I watched every Cubs game because my grandparents were Cubs fans, and they just like watched all their games, and so I just had like a nostalgia, and I just wanted them to win. Like, who doesn't want to see a team that hasn't won 100 and whatever years win a championship? That was an exciting run, but after that I was like, all right, well, that was fun, I'm done.
It was great, and the Cubs do their spring training in Arizona, so Arizona's like their second home.
It's like 10 minutes from my house too. It's a nice stadium.
Oh, that's awesome. You gonna go graft, bro? Go graft Chris Bryant? We had somebody yell at us viciously for not having enough Chris Bryant cards in Card Ladder.
Anthony Rizzo too. Get it together, bro.
Right. Christina, add some Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo. No, don't. Okay. We had several questions on this topic. This comes from Wade Zoe. Thinking of the non-Panini era, not that question yet. This one comes from TYJQ811. What are your thoughts about the popularity of the hobby and the potential for leagues to do away with exclusive rights? Investors will still prefer Chrome, Prism, etc., but there'll be more product for collectors. I know Wax Museum touched on this during his latest podcast, but I'd like to hear your thoughts. Thanks for your show. And then Boiler Down, Boiler Up said, I really miss products like Topps Chrome and Upper Deck Exquisite in football and basketball. The competition made the quality better. With the boom of the market recently, do you think Upper Deck and Topps will make a run at those licenses again?
That's an interesting point because like we haven't really revisited it since, like in the last year or so, I would say. Like at least you and I haven't revisited this topic, and now that like the market is kind of expanding and growing, it kind of does make sense at a macro level for more companies to jump in at this point and start making cards again. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think it could be fun. Well, I don't know. It's such a big change that it's hard to wrap your mind around it. And how would it affect you individually as a collector? And how would you change? There's a lot of like ramifications. So it's kind of an interesting thought.
It's a very interesting thought, and the way you put it is right on. I think the leagues will look at, hey, we're making X amount of dollars by printing cards with Panini, licensing to Panini. Can't we triple that if we license to other huge manufacturers? Clearly the leagues are showing that they're interested in making up revenue. So the timing might be right. The expansion of the market might be right. And then I think to myself, okay, so if Upper Deck comes back into the equation and Topps comes back into the equation, and these three entities are all making basketball and football cards, oh my God, that's going to be a whole new jungle full of terrain that we've never gone through in this type of a market that we're going to have to try and navigate again. How many products is Panini going to put out? How many is Panini still going to make 30 basketball products a year? God, it would just be, but it would also be so exciting. People would be so excited. It would be one of the most optimistic moments in hobby history the day that got announced.
I also wanted to balance this out yet again and point out that like people are romanticizing Topps and Upper Deck a little bit and thinking that they would just come back and just start making like the best Exquisite and the best Topps Chrome of all time. And I think that's a little bit foolish to assume that they wouldn't make the same mistakes Panini's making today. I've seen the Topps Chrome stuff in baseball. It kind of seems similar-ish every year, the Topps Chrome to me. Like in the last 7 to 8 years, it just like I haven't seen a lot of innovation there. And Carvin still working for Upper Deck? I'm pretty sure that we'd be getting some like
I'm sure they'd bring him back. He's not working for them right now, but I'm sure they would be beating down his door to innovate.
Yeah, see, there you go. Like they're already at a disadvantage here. So like, to assume that they would come in and just like come back at their peak and start making awesome stuff is a little bit foolish. So maybe be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Man, that would just be another curveball. Karn said it best on Clubhouse. He just said, "Man, this hobby is a never-ending drama, and there's just all these new things popping up and happening."
Yeah, it's so true. We got our own little bachelor world going on. There's just like someone said that on Christmas. We're like a little version of Bachelor.
It's true. Mike Pinkerton 50 says, "What do you think about all these local shows being jam-packed? Looks like it's good for the hobby to me."
It's fucking great. It's amazing. It kind of reminds me. It's like the new version of a card shop at every corner. We have a card show at every corner of the month, and it's great. Because we'll get into Clubhouse later, but like the only thing that's been missing from this like recent boom of the sports card market is the a national and the in-person interactions. And so we're seeing what national is going to be like with all these like mini shows popping up all over the place. And now these shows are being run by like collectors now. It's not just like
part of it. I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, it's like Summertime Cards is running the Miami show. Grant is running the Wisconsin show. I'm not sure about the Dallas folks. Maybe I just don't know who runs that show. But still, like, I don't know. It just seems like, are we going to have too many shows? Is maybe the next question.
Yeah, no. I mean, the shows are going to continue to pop up as long as they continue to be filled. I saw Summertime announce that Heritage is going to have a booth at his show. I mean, that's big time, man. That is big freaking time. So these shows, in a lot of ways, we're in the second inning of card shows right now. These card shows are just getting started. So I'm pretty. I'm sure these shows will keep popping up until they stop selling out. They stop getting packed. And I don't see that happen. I mean, May will be a good stress test for that because there's going to be all these shows across the country: Miami show, Wisconsin Dallas show, and the Dallas show. The junk show era, very good, very good. We might be in the junk show era.
Putnam's on that one. Card shows are finally getting their respect. No, I mean I'm chomping at the bit to get to some of these shows because that's one thing I do have FOMO for is getting out there and hanging out with all you guys and meeting you somewhere to kick your ass at the show. We'll find that location. Booth 4.
Yeah. So good question. Good question. Let's see here. Brett from Stacking Slabs has a question. Long-time listener, first-time caller. This is not your first time asking a question, Brett. How big of a role do you attribute to Golden to the lack of off-season price dips this year? Most notably in football, but other sports are impacted too. I'll hang up and listen to your response on the air. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean that definitely plays a part. There's just like more because there's like more eyeballs, more auctions, more there's like less seasonal auctions now and they're just always constantly running. There's all these different sites. There's just more and more attention on it and it's sort of like is shrinking the off-season approach to the hobby, and the hobby is a 24/7 365 thing now, and so people are just buying whatever they feel like whenever they feel like. They don't even, and like we've pointed out, people don't even care if you're playing. They don't care if you're playing during the season. They sure as hell don't care if you're playing not in the season.
Right. Great points. Let me also add this. There is a bit of a dip on some cards. This is the graph for the 2000 Bowman Chrome Tom Brady PSA 10. There is a drop off here. The card was going for $28,000 on February 8th, and the card traded today with Mile High for under $18,000. So there has been a correction in at least some parts of football. Figured that was worth pointing out.
We did have a small discussion on PSA versus BGS discrepancy. You can watch that in hour 1. But BGS 9.5 is a buy. It's a top 5 buy. It's a going up, and you better get ready.
Do your undervalued for Christina.
Undervalued.
Thanks, John.
Mm-hmm.
Packed full of Prism. Oh, nice name. Says simply parallels and inserts versus autographs.
Ooh. I would say parallels versus inserts versus autographs, sir. They are different.
They are different.
Or madam, they are different enough that I would break them all into 3 categories. I am a parallel 1, auto 2, insert 3 guy.
Whoa, interesting. Okay, I'm a little bit different. I'm parallel 1, insert 2, auto 3. So a little bit different. Autographs, it's just like I don't care to be Luca's friend. I don't care to have his autograph either. I think that's all I need to say, and that kind of sums up my point of view.
I like the introduction of the autograph as it pertains to the design of the card. I'm not like fawning over the fact that the player touched the card and his autograph is on it. I like the design aspect of it, especially Michael Jordan, LeBron's autos. I think their autos look really nice.
They do.
And I think it gives it like a nice contrast, the blue against the white. I just like it.
Yeah. Dude, especially those guys. Those guys have great looking autographs. And it does. It can look really nice. I agree. There's no losers in that discussion there.
Yeah.
Tim Exquisite Collector says, what about memorabilia, game used?
That's 4 for me. I like it. I like all 4. I think they all have their own place, but that's number 4 for me.
Fair. And what about game use plus autograph on the same?
Ooh. I don't know. 2, 3, I don't know. Somewhere. I like it all. You know, I guess it just like it depends on the card, obviously. I'd rather just like I'm super picky. We haven't talked about that, like how picky someone might be towards like, you know, and this is an interesting thought. Maybe other people have this thought. Are you if you were like strictly an investor and you were like, I'm gonna make the best picks, but you want to limit it to things that you're knowledgeable about, are you also limiting it to things that you like looking at and you're like picky about the design of it? I am. I won't even, if you told me I could just double my money on a card I didn't like the look of versus like 1.5x my money on a card that I do like, I would pick the 1.5x because something about the mental hurdle of buying something I don't like the look of I can't get over it.
Totally. Yeah, I'm right there with you on that. Couldn't agree more on that topic. Oh yeah, the chat is rowdy tonight.
Those guys are drinking White Claws too, I think.
Right on. NY Giants card guy has a remark. So many people are trying to flip cards for profit, but they have so little understanding of supply and demand.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier, quote unquote, to like flip cards that are higher in population because it's obviously easier to buy it. It's just that flipping that stuff right now and making profit on it is tough because the stuff that we're talking about that are those high populations, those cards are struggling right now, and a lot of them are going down. And I don't know if people that are in the flip game are struggling necessarily because like the whole market is up so much that I don't think anyone's really struggling, but there's probably a lot of sets and cards that have been pretty stagnant for a while that people have been holding. So maybe that's kind of what the heart of the question is.
Yeah. Yeah. Just wanted to give the question some airtime as well. Clubhouse buddy and young collector extraordinaire, South Park Cards, has made some interesting remarks on that topic as well, pointing out, I think rightly, that even the worst picks in this hobby still have probably made money over the last year. There really has not been much of a penalty for making bad picks because the whole hobby has expanded so much. I would say this. Some people were talking today about how good their investments were because they 3x'd over the last 6 months or something like that. All right, what I'm showing you right now is the Card Ladder Index. All right, this is a composition of 50 investment grade cards. Over the last year, this index has gone from a value of 4,000 to a value of 28,000. So over last year, this index has 7x'd. If cards that you bought and flipped over the last year have not netted you a 7x, then you have not even beat the market. So there's really nothing to brag about. You are simply riding the wave. And I think we should really, like, now that we have some tools like that, we should really talk like that. And we should say, some guy is very pleased because, hey, look, if you 15x'd a card over the last year, you beat the market handily. If your card 4 or 5x'd, you could have done much better if you had just blindly purchased the 50 most obvious investment grade cards there are. So I just think we need to we need to drop the hammer a little bit on all these Warren Buffetts and Charlie Munger.
Boom.
Okay, was that a little harsh? I don't know.
You're meaner to the collectors than I am to Kevin Durant.
Sorry, guys. I just
PSA 8, you guys can't even 7x, you losers. Man. Tough. It is tough.
And South makes the point as well that I really like, which is that it's not going to be so easy to do that anymore.
Nope.
It's not going to be so easy to ride the wave of the hobby anymore because we're probably not going to see another 7x over the next year. we'll still see big gains. I think that's possible, but not 7x. So no hating on profits. I do not hate on profits. I'm speaking in relative terms here.
Yeah, I think it's
people
more about the people that are bragging outwardly. And it's like, reality check, guy. Your bragging doesn't look so great. But yeah, dude, we should all be celebrating each other's wins because everyone's kicking butt.
They are. Yeah, let's pivot to a positive. The comment that I made is really only applicable to a small amount of people. Here's one from Hawks and Habs PC. The hockey market seems to be doing well, but still has a lot of room to grow. Do you think the ESPN deal with the NHL will create more interest for hockey in the U.S.? Also, happy to see hockey being added to CL Card Ladder. Hope there's more coming.
Yeah, I said this on Clubhouse last night, but like hockey and a couple other things have the feel to me of basketball 5 years ago, where it was just some collectors having fun, not really wanting to go over the hump of paying too much money, but we had our rankings of cards that we all enjoyed, and we had our hierarchies, and we all just like having fun with it. Now, I'm not saying hockey is necessarily going to get to where basketball is today, because that's silly to just say that out loud. But I just like the foundational pieces of hockey collectors and the cards to me feel like, I wouldn't be surprised if it started seeing some real growth. And the ESPN deal is important because more exposure to the sport, more exposure to the athletes, the cards, it all matters.
Agreed. Showing off here, Christina's Ovechkin PSA 10. It's the nicest hockey card we have by far. Young Guns, 2005 rookie. Good points on hockey. Would love to see hockey flourish. You had some comments about hockey collectors. Talk about hockey collectors a little bit.
Didn't I just say it?
Oh. It's about them being very defensive.
No, I mean, it's just saying that, like, they have okay, so yeah, they're defensive about their. I was saying that they're not yet ready to like go over a certain threshold of price because they're collecting. They want things to stay cheap. They want to keep collecting things, and I think that's a good indicator. We ready to bring Lefko on?
We can definitely bring Lefko on. Adam, if you're available to pop on here.
He's getting saucy in the chat.
He might be too saucy. If you want to come on, dude, just send a request and we'll bring you in.
It's a 3-beer minimum, guy. And I won't belittle you when you join.
Let's see. Somebody, CZ Cards wants to know thoughts on the gold Prism Lebron up for auction at Golden. There's two, actually. There's a 2019 Prism Gold and a 2012 Prism Gold. And let's let the market settle on that before I'm sorry. I'm going to let the market settle on that before I make any comments about those cards.
The price? Oh, I'm not going to guess the price. That's not fair to people that are going after it.
Right. Indeed.
That's it's a massive card, huge card.
And we got to Brett's question. We've answered this question many a time, but we always have new listeners. JHC Cards says, are there any tips on how to feel less nervous when you're making the leap from smaller end purchases to higher end?
I like that question. Tips on how to feel less nervous. Sell stuff, consolidate, use your equity in cards to make that decision for you instead of feeling like you have to go spend your real cash. That's the easiest way.
Also, if you're nervous, it's good. If you're nervous, you're alive, man. The blood is flowing, the heart is pumping, and lean into it a little bit. It's not the worst thing in the world to try something new to feel a little nervous. Lean into it, enjoy it. If you make a mistake or if you determine that you made a mistake, it's not the end of the world. It shouldn't be. You should be having fun. This is cards. Take a leap of faith in the card market, in the card community, and we all learn as we go. All of us, all the time.
I have another tip. You're gonna like this one. Make that purchase through an auction, because you know that if you win an auction, there was someone else, worst case scenario, that was willing to pay just a little bit less than you, and you can take the tiniest of losses. As just like a general thought, like you can take a tiny loss if you just like you didn't like it, you think you overpaid, and you spent too much money, your wife is mad at you, whatever. Like you can backtrack and just take a small loss and get out of it. Whereas if you bought a fucking car with that money, you're screwed. So at least feel comfortable that you're buying something that has demand. It's something that's not going to just like deteriorate in value the second you get it. And there's other people that want it as well. So take that leap of faith, like Chris said.
Love that point of view. Just hopefully it's not the auction house that's the second highest bidder. That's all we'll say.
Look at this guy.
Oh,
the third person to join crossover. What an honor.
That's not true. You
Yes,
had
it is.
Snack and Slabs and Yam
No,
Wax. Oh, you mean
that wasn't
tonight?
crossover. That was not crossover.
Oh, that was like an auction special.
Yeah.
Nice. We're getting ready for college basketball. I have to host.
Oh,
a
this
Twitter
man is
show.
working.
You're hosting one of them?
Yeah, I have to host like a Twitter show with Brendan Haywood, Rex Chapman, Paul Wall, Candace Parker, Robert Griffin III. I don't even know. Reggie
Hey,
Miller.
I want to ask you a question. Talk to me about the Candace Parker versus Shaq thing lately. That's like keeps popping up on my news
You
feed.
tell me about it. What do you think about it?
I think don't say
I
this to
love when
Shaq.
Chris laughs at my shit. It's the best.
I love that beef between them. I love when Shaq said, "Oh, you won that," and she said, "Oh, okay, here we go."
I was watching the one where Shaq was like, he's like, just don't switch, just stay on your man, and it was like, what? Do you not know how like switch defenses work? And Candace just like totally owned him, and it was like, yes, this is how the NBA works, dude. I don't know if what you've been watching, but I don't know. Like Shaq is just so, he's just so like he doesn't want to be wrong. He's a professional athlete, so like, how does he feel about that?
He's not just a professional athlete. He is Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
And I think like if you really put every star in the NBA in a room, like Shaq may be the biggest star of all of them. Like if you're going to be really honest. So what I like is that I've talked to you guys about this before. Candace has so many reps. Candace is on NBA TV almost every night. And when you're on NBA TV, you're watching like Mavericks Thunder.
Yeah.
You're watching like Bulls Magic. And like, because you have to. And so she has so many reps. And Shaq has, in his words, G14 classification, because he can say things that Candace can't. Like, what is Russell Westbrook's legacy? Candace will look at it and Shaq will be like, he didn't win. Like, he's a great player, he just didn't win. But like, he can say that because he won 4. And I like that because I think there's a good brother-sister element there, which I like. Like Maxi Kleber, Luka. It's like one of those.
Oh, now I get it. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm worried about what I didn't like earlier is that while Josh was talking about ESPN, Chris was too busy trying to show off his cards and he wasn't looking at the comments because I think it needs to be discussed. Is that I think they're going to put all the hockey games on ESPN Plus, and that is not ESPN. And even if they do the Stanley Cup, look, the women's college basketball tournament is on ESPN, but if hockey's on all year round, because they might do more stuff on Sports Center, of like Buchagras and stuff, and Steve Levy, but not that much.
It's not going to move the needle much.
Look, that's what I get. That's why I get worried about a lot of these sports, like soccer. It's like, are they going to get? Is that going to be the way they push Paramount Plus? because all of these cable providers, they need their streaming service to work. They got to catch up with Amazon and Netflix, and they got to put their best content on those streams. And while that's great for their business, it's not great for eyeballs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I
Got
mean,
the NBA deal that's going to come. Oh my goodness.
because that's more money for the players and everything, right?
And you got to think it'll go on more networks too, because like NFL is on 5. It's on NBC on Sunday night, ESPN on Monday night, Thursday night's on Amazon, and then Sunday during the day is on CBS and Fox. And so the NBA is on TNT and ESPN.
ABC once in a while too.
But that's all part of ESPN. That's Disney.
Isn't Disney Plus get you ESPN Plus?
Yes.
I'll tell you what, that Disney Plus is great.
There you go.
I don't even have kids. Like, the great thing about Disney Plus is, like, Chris and I can go on there and watch Doctor Strange, and then Josh can go on there and be like, "Who's ready for Frozen 2?"
No, me and Christina will watch Frozen 2 as well, I'm afraid.
We will.
Yeah, I can see that. Did you
There's a
guys
few
watch
movies.
Justice League on HBO Max?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's good.
There's definitely a few shows that my kids are watching, and I'm like, this isn't the worst thing I've ever seen. You know, I'll watch
So
this.
is Dwayne Wade's market actually, is it coming, or was it just, like, is that gold sale something that sets the market, or is that the first one that's really popped like that?
Yeah, I mean, it just means that, like, Chris and I care more about that sale than we do about, the Topps Chrome price going up 20%, because it means someone's willing to put down real money. And, like, I'm gonna go get one of his good cards. Like, fuck just trying to play his market and trying to make money flipping Dwayne Wade. I want to actually spend money on a Dwayne Wade card.
Do you remember when we talked before about, does the rise of base increase the upper tier? Does the upper tier carry the base? Do you remember that was like a conversation a year ago, and now it's absurd to even ask that? Now it's like everything that we see, the high-end cards set the market, and then the base cards react to it. Because we're finally getting those big sales. You know, we've had a few big LeBrons. We've had a few big Currys. Harden's gone up.
Yeah.
The only one that doesn't make sense is Luka.
Oh boy.
All right. Can you
Boy.
talk about Kevin Durant? Help me out here a little bit, maybe. Give me your opinion.
Sasha,
Yeah.
hopefully soon, buddy.
I think you are a sports purist, and you like Larry Fitzgerald.
Yes, I do.
I bet that if somebody brought up Barry Sanders, that Josh would go, I love that right after he scored a touchdown, he gave the ball back to the ref.
No, I like Aaron Rodgers though. I like a little bit of
so you
something.
like a little bit.
I like a little bit, but it's got to be for the team, and it's got to be like Aaron Rodgers is doing it.
I think it is for the team. So I don't want you to put that on Kevin Durant, because I don't think that Kevin Durant is a bad teammate. I think Kevin Durant called up LaMarcus Aldridge and said, "Get your ass here," and LaMarcus Aldridge went, "I'm in." Like, that's Kevin Durant has assembled this team. Like, everyone talks about LeBron building the Lakers. Okay, well, KD built the Nets.
Yeah.
And so that's an interesting thing. Like, he went to the Warriors and played on their team, and now he's building his own team. The Rappaport thing, I would just say, let's give him the benefit of the doubt that he did talk like that to Michael Rappaport, because I would say Michael Rappaport likely talks like that a lot, and I would say that KD apparently talks like that a lot, so they probably talked like that a lot. People that talk like that a lot don't take screenshots of conversations and post them on social media. And I'm not blaming him, and I'm not saying he shouldn't have said those things, and I'm not excusing it at all. I just thought that was interesting. I mean, unless it is truly like, it's either it happens all the time or that was out of nowhere. And I would just say, like, do you think Michael Rappaport is sharing like book like reports, and like what kind of cheese do you like with that Pinot? Like, that's not Michael Rappaport.
Yeah, we just can't see what he said. That's the problem.
I would just say this, Josh. I think the Nets are going to be a team that will be discussed forever, because this team has so many elements that a lot of basketball fans do not like. They do not understand Kyrie Irving. They go back to the flat earth comment all the time. And again, Chris knows this. I don't stand anywhere on anybody. I'm just watching it happen and taking it all in. I don't have an opinion on any of these guys. I think that he's a hell of a basketball player. And I think that he's done amazing things off the court. But the fact that he'll miss games every now and then and it goes back to the flat earth, people can't get past it. They want to call him crazy. If James Harden wins a title, Josh, my new take is that James Harden is the Matt Stafford of the NBA. That if Matt Stafford wins a Super Bowl with the Rams, we go, oh shit, was he better than Drew Brees? Because the stats are going to be crazy. If James Harden wins a title, I mean, he has every stat.
Can we say Matt Stafford is the James Harden of the NFL? Because I think we should pay the respect to Harden over Stafford.
I mean, Stafford was drafted first, but
yeah, Harden MVP.
Harden has an MVP. Yeah.
Okay, deal.
That's just a fine point. Just a fine point there.
No, I would say you're right. I would say you'd be right. But yeah, KD would have 3. Josh, I really love the Nuggets. And I can't get over it. I can't get over how good of a team I think that is.
Now, do you think Aaron Gordon made a big difference in McGee, or do you think they're just coming together at the right time? They would have been here anyway.
I think that what it does most importantly is it takes so much pressure off Jokic.
Yeah.
Like now Jokic can like float, and somebody said this the other day about Michael Porter Jr. Corver was saying this. He goes, now you can put Aaron Gordon on the number 1 player on the other team, and Michael Porter Jr. doesn't have to guard him.
Yeah.
And then it's the same thing with big guys. If they play Rudy Gobert, like they could put JaVale McGee on him, and then Jokic can kind of float and do whatever the hell he wants to do, because you want Jokic to be fully athletic on the offensive end. And if he's chasing people on the defensive end, same thing with Michael Porter Jr. So, and I think Jamal Murray's going to bounce back. I just think Jokic he's so much fun to watch.
The Nuggets are good, man. I mean, they played well against the Lakers. It's not like they got crushed and they came back on the Clippers. Like, they're definitely already there, and they added pieces.
Man, and I ain't got no faith in the Clippers. And the Lakers, we don't know what they're going to be. I mean, we know what they're going to be.
If
LeBron beats this Nets team and he has a 72-9 Warriors and a Nets team with Harden, KD, Kyrie.
Say it.
Well, no, I mean, I thought it was close going into this year.
No, I mean, say it. He's going to be better than Jordan if he beats the Nets. That's what you want to say.
Oh, yeah, I already believe that.
Oh.
Because, well, I in terms of like if you're like who has a better legacy, I'm picking LeBron. It just depends on the question you ask. Who do I want to give the ball to at the end of the game? I want to give it to Jordan.
Yeah, dude, this is why, I mean,
if we were playing aliens, I would rather have LeBron.
Chris and I talk about this a lot, but like one of the reasons I'm so harsh on Durant is I am like defensive of LeBron. I just am. I have a lot of LeBron cards. He's my favorite player.
And
I think he's the best of all time.
In his face twice. Twice. Step down.
Baby.
He literally. I was rewatching him the other day. On the first one, someone came over to set a screen, and he literally was like, "Nah." He literally was like, "No, I want LeBron." But then, like, he got too close to the screen, and they switched anyway, and he was on some scrub. It's like, here's the difference: is no one can get in front of LeBron, and no one can get in the way of Durant. If that makes LeBron is a force that I've never seen. It's a shooting star. Like, you know what I mean? And it always gets to where it has to go. And KD, it's like this bent over sack of bones that like turns into like a flailing armed tube man and just shoots up immediately. And you're like, it's 7 feet tall. And then it shoots like Steph Curry. And so that's insane. Yeah. But it's good that you're protective of LeBron.
I like that take. I haven't heard anybody go all the way as far as you went to say, we acknowledge the Nets are good. We acknowledge the Lakers are injury hobbled right now. But if this Lakers team wins, you're playing it out several steps down. I don't think anybody saw
let's
that.
play the legacy game. I think the legacy game is fun. If the Sixers beat the Nets, Joel Embiid is Hakeem Olajuwon. Okay? If he does it, if the Bucks get past the Nets, Giannis cards are about to go fucking crazy. Crazy. Yeah. And that erases so many years. And then people will be like, LeBron didn't win anything for his first 8 years.
Everything changes just in these like micro decisions. It's crazy.
Clippers get bounced early. Is Kawhi even on the team next year?
No.
If he does win,
is he on the team next year?
Kawhi talks again.
Yeah. Clippers, underrated right now, in my opinion. Since the All-Star break, they're top 5 in both offensive and defensive efficiency, and they're top 5 in net rating. They're playing championship caliber basketball right now. I think they're top 3 in three-point percentage. Last 2 games have not been good.
So they had a 6-game winning streak with, I think, some bums on it.
Yeah.
They lost to Magic.
They lost to the Magic. That was not good.
Yeah, they blew like a 15-point lead.
Yeah.
They've blown 4 15-plus point leads this year. And I only bring that up because they blew a 3-1 lead to the Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you start going, shit, they need – so their answer was the same guy that people were like, why the fuck do the Hawks have Rajon Rondo? And they're like, no, that's our guy. Like,
was Rondo the 3rd best player on the Lakers in the playoffs last year?
No, that was KCP.
Okay.
Yes. KCP hit that huge shot against the Nuggets. That was a huge shot.
Rondo was definitely top 5.
Okay. So I think Rondo moves the needle for them in the playoffs personally.
Rondo's one of those guys that's grown on me as I've gotten older. Like, I was not a Rondo guy. And then now when I hear the stories, because I read the articles every day. It's just I have to keep up with it just for the storylines. And as soon as Rondo found out he was traded, he called the Clippers and he said, send me your playbook. He was studying it, and apparently I read another article that after like the second half of the first game, they came out of a timeout and Rondo already knew all of their base plays. Like all of the base plays. He's like, I got that.
But they lost Lou Williams. They didn't just add Rondo. They also lost Lou Williams, who's a high scorer. So it's not like
but he didn't do anything in the playoffs, man, for years and years. It's been like 3 years of people being
Rondo hasn't done anything for years until he had LeBron as the guy in front of him leading the charge.
You know what else Rondo does? Rondo will fight you.
Yeah,
I don't think Paul George will fight you. And I don't think Kawhi Leonard wants to worry about fighting you.
Yeah, I don't know how much that matters in the playoffs, though.
I think Rondo will mess around and shoot 42% from 3 like he did last year. I think that the playoffs look a lot different last year if Rondo didn't do what he did.
I would also say, Josh, though, to your point, what you were just saying, you're saying that doesn't matter. Some of my favorite LeBron rivalries were with the guys that were not afraid of him. So, Lance,
still beat all of them, but yeah.
But those series went 6 or 7 instead of 5.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just think like the whole Rondo thing is a little bit overplayed
I agree. I think that was a bad take by Chris. Not a
it was
good.
It was a very.
Yeah, there he is.
Dude, LeBron had the best reaction of all time to that thing. He just freaking like laughed and rolled his eyes.
He did not have the best reaction of all time. The best reaction of all time is when the high school kid is being stared at, and then it was Colin Sexton, and then he turned and faced the guy and like looked right in his face. That's the best one of that.
Or Kobe when Matt Barnes like threw the ball in his face and he just didn't even move.
Oof. Or Shaq eating a really hot wing when he's like,
yeah. You didn't answer my question. Is Shaq like a little bit annoyed about it, or is he just sort of rolling with it?
The first night it happened, no one thought about it. Number one, this is what's very funny about making content like that. We are on the air until about 1:30 Okay.
Yeah.
Most people are not watching that live. That didn't happen in the pregame show. That happened at like 1:15. Okay. And so we've been there. They've been there since 6. I've been there since 2. And so it's one. And what happens is it gets clipped out. And then in the morning, the right algorithm picks it up. And then everyone's like, man, how about that rivalry between Candace and Shaq? And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, oh, you mean the clip? Yeah, the clip. Yeah. But it's no, it's not bad at all. So he didn't realize. And then the second time she hit him with take the surprise out your voice. And then it went viral again. And then people were like, there's a thing happening. And then like the third or fourth time when it kept happening, then's when Shaq in one of the commercials looks over and goes, hey, people like this. Keep coming at me. And I was like,
I think
that's
that's
Shaq.
what
Shaq's like, if Shaq realizes that, like, oh, this is fun, like Shaq, I explained this to Wade the other night. We were hanging out, and I said it's a 4-man break. I said I dribble up, and I go, hey Wade, and then Wade takes it, and then he goes pop 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 pop, pop. And then Shaq goes, oh, we're doing that, and then Shaq takes it, and he like tries to spin it on his finger, and then it's like not working, and then Candace grabs it. And she's like, you're an idiot.
I think that's the most underrated part about that show is that they are more interested in like the entertainment of it than like what they maybe like how they appear, how they come across. Like they know that it's a show, and like Barkley's the king of this. He's not necessarily worried about pronouncing the guy's name correctly or getting the right like schemes in place, like a Zach Lowe or something. He knows it's a show and it's entertaining, and those guys have fun with it.
I look at it like this. Barkley said to me one time, he goes, the sun does not compete with the moon. They're just great. And they don't try and be each other. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in guys like Charles Barkley or Yogi Berra. It's just very simple, and then it just kind of sits with you a little bit. But I think what you just realize, you go, okay, what do you do well? What Dwayne Wade does really well is he just got done playing. He knows all of these guys, and he competed with a lot of them, so he knows and he's going to hit that. Candace is a studier. Candace has watched all of this. She's still playing right now. So when you're, like, she can describe what it's like and all that. And she's won a Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, championship. She's won at every single level. Her brothers were in the NBA. Like, she's basketball royalty. And Shaquille O'Neal is the guy that can call out stars because he was a star. And it's my job to Lob City. I'm just trying to be John Stockton. Josh, I do a podcast where I have to give my opinion. And on TV, I try to not say the words I feel and I think because nobody gives a shit what I feel and what I think. And but that's okay. It's so freeing not to have an opinion. Do you know how great it is to watch a game come down to the last second and I get to look at people and go, what happened? And that's my job. Because a lot of people have to get on there and be like, they got destroyed on the offensive glass and they couldn't sustain it. And then look, the back cuts were and it's like it's a formula and all this. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, tell these motherfuckers what to do. Like, it's fun.
Yeah.
But I saw somebody comment and they were talking like the Ernie thing. What's so funny is that like Ernie is the greatest to ever do it. And I look at it as a Luka Dirk situation is how I look at it. Where it's like don't rush that man out of here. Can I play with that man? Like, can we be teammates? Like, that man's amazing. And it's
you're in year 2
we're just wearing the same jersey.
Yeah, you're year 3 and Dirk's like year 20. You're like it's a long way.
Oh, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, dude, I'll watch that guy do college basketball, and because I see things different. Like when I watch your guys doing sports cards culture, I'm going, okay, that was their A block. They started off, Chris took it, like I'm looking at it like a flow chart almost. and Ernie will come and sometimes he won't even say, sometimes he'll come on and he'll go, one time had a conversation with Pat Riley where he said there is winning and there is misery. Last second shot, no good. And there goes the number 1 seed in the Eastern bracket, Illinois.
Damn. There we go.
He didn't even say, my name is Ernie. He didn't even say, this is the college. He just went into this thing. And I was like, I literally sat there with like stuff like this and was like, that's a great move. That's an amazing move. To me, it's like, it's a flow, because the way that I think about it is what is Josh Jackson thinking at home? What questions does he want answered? That Josh Jackson.
Oh, shit.
Can you give us a Barkley story before we boot your ass?
Yeah, I want to talk. Okay, well, hold on. What kind of Barkley story? Okay, this is who Charles Barkley
Anything.
is.
Yeah.
Charles
Something
Barkley
about
is.
like, we want like a behind the, like, we don't want the TV one. We want like something about him.
Okay, so he lives in the Four Seasons in Atlanta. He has a condo, and he's always down in the bar, and the thing is he's just, in my words, the best hang ever, and like he just, I can't. I really thought more people said that, and I didn't realize that like people don't say that. And so we're sitting there and we're having some drinks, and he's telling me that his daughter's getting ready to get married. And the only thing that stinks about being Charles Barkley is that everybody is like, this is my chance to talk to Charles Barkley. And so you don't realize it when you're the one going up to him, because you're like, it's 1 in a million. But for him, if you're sitting there with him, you're like, that was one of 15 times that happened in the last hour. And so what happens is you'll get people that they'll be like, hey, somebody sent over this drink. They would love for you to come over and say hi. And he's like, I don't need a drink. I'm Charles Barkley. Like, but there was one time, so we're talking, and the waiter comes over and he goes, hey, sorry to bother you. And Charles goes, then why the fuck are you bothering us then? And the dude just like dropped to his knees and he couldn't stop laughing. And it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. If I had to do, man, he had so many, he's awesome. I have a clip that I haven't put online yet, where the first time that me and him ever worked together was the first time that Tiger Woods played Phil Mickelson in the match, the one that they had in Las Vegas. And I got asked to do the pregame show. And the pregame show was me, Pat Perez, who is a loud and crazy golfer, sponsored by Jordan Brand, like the only golfer that only plays in Jordans, Charles Barkley, and Samuel L. Jackson. And I sat next to Samuel L. Like our knees were this far apart. And there was a point where like I was half host, half betting person. And so like I didn't know that they were going to come back to me almost on every hole. So I would have to be like, hole number 5, it's a par 3, about 324. He normally drives right now around 270, but the over-under at FanDuel is 280, minus 110. I'm going to go the under here. And then one time, what's his name? Samuel Jackson goes, damn, Adam, you know all this betting shit. And I was like, yes. I was like, oh, I'm locked in. But my favorite moment was, so I had never worked with Barkley, obviously, or Samuel L. Jackson, or Pat Perez for that matter. And I started this thing about 2 years into Bleacher Report where I just started yelling all the time, because I had to do 200 NFL draft videos after the draft. And so I had to get, and there was like one for every pick. So like on day 2 or day 3, it was like 200 of me being like, with the 56th pick in the end, and I was falling asleep at 2 in the morning, and I just started yelling. And then people started commenting on it on Twitter, And then I was like, oh, this is the equivalent of like putting your best shit in the first 5 seconds of your YouTube to like get people hooked. So it just became a thing that like I kind of roar to start something. And so we're doing the rehearsal, and Barkley's just like, you know, facing this way when the camera's this way, just like looking at people. Because they're just warming up, like Tiger's over there warming up. And I go, $6 million. Like I went this, and Chuck just goes, and he thought we were live, and whatever. And then he was like, oh, yeah, man, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, no, that's not real. And he goes, what the fuck? He goes, why the fuck are you yelling then? And I was like, because it's like, I'm going to rehearse. So I'm going to do it like how I'm supposed to do it. And he was like, that was crazy. Like, I thought we were live.
That's good.
That's ridiculous.
All right, hold on. Can I ask like a card question or two?
If you do a Shaq impression after.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I feel like I was looking at the chart that you were showing earlier, and it seems like it's kind of hit a bottom of the hobby in itself, and it looks like it's starting to come up, right? We like to focus on the cards that have like the big swings. What have been the gradual growers that you've seen on the ladder lately that have been a steady climb?
Get them, Chris.
I mean, they're not the most exciting cards, but like we were talking about earlier, some of these Michael Jordan inserts, the Rave Reviews PSA 10, it does nothing but go up. All of those types of cards. I don't know, man. A lot of cards, you know, are just volatile right now. Well, you know, here's a great example. That Dwayne Wade top chrome gold.
Yeah.
That card's done nothing but go up. The previous sale, so we had the $115,000 sale. The previous sale was last summer for $46,000, and there were no sales in between.
I would be willing to bet that you would be hard pressed to find a gold that hasn't kept going up.
That's a great point.
And so my thing would be, it's less about Dwayne Wade and sustainability of his market, but more on the fact that, like, didn't a Steph Curry gold just go for a crazy price?
Yeah, so Curry Prism
Didn't you
gold,
guys just start the show both showing LeBron gold 2008?
Yes, but like Josh said too, it's tough to tell exactly because they sell so infrequently that maybe it would have sold for more if it sold a month ago. You just can't really know.
Yeah, but the chart's still like this.
It is, but it might be like this if there had been.
I'm just saying, when's the last time a gold? Like, I would be curious, has the LeBron Topps Chrome gold gone down? The LeBron Topps Chrome base hit all the way up there like 48, and now it's sitting there at 20. And so I'm curious, has the gold dipped? I bet you we haven't even seen it.
No. That those cards sell for record highs every time they come up. But like Josh was saying, they come up so infrequently that of course that's going to happen. I have an anticipatory take for you. I think as we move towards the playoffs right now with basketball, I think we're in the third card cycle that we've seen since all the new people came in. The first one was August, and it peaked with the bubble playoffs. And then we had a correction after. The second one was the beginning of this NBA season. It began then, but people gravitated to the GOATs rather than the prospects. We're about to see the third cycle begin sometime in May, maybe sooner. So that's my prediction. I say buckle up because I think I'm seeing enough macro indicators right now that a new cycle is coming.
If that's the case, so you know how like Josh earlier was like, he disclosed, I have one of these cards, so I have to say that. Okay. I am going to disclose the future selling of cards in the same way. So Josh is disclosing past purchases. I will be disclosing future sales. If it indeed does go up in May, I would just like everybody to know, my wedding is May 22nd, and I didn't know how much flowers cost. And if it goes up in May, I will be selling most of my modern. And so I'm super excited to talk to you a lot about it. But I'm disclosing that now.
Nice.
There you go.
That's a
future
first.
disclosure.
Hasn't Chris given you the rant about how dare you sell cards and spend that money on not other cards? You're sucking money out of the market.
I believe
flowers.
If you had money in Bitcoin, you wouldn't move it to dollars. If you had money in sports cards, you wouldn't move it to Top Shot. If you had money, you know what I mean? Like, those are different currencies. But you get rid of all of those for life. Because what the fuck is the point of it if it's not for life? If it's just to watch grow, get an ant farm. Like, there are less volatile ways to enjoy things growing. You know what I mean?
Ant farm cards on Instagram is gonna pop up, I think, tomorrow.
Ant ladder.
Ant ladder. Right.
Whoa.
Well, first of all, congrats, dude.
The queen ant is a 1 of 1.
All right, Shaq impression.
Congrats, though, man.
Hey, left coat, you can't come out with me. I'm single. Okay, Shaq. Okay. Yeah, no, I like your wife. You can't come. Okay. All right, I'm out of here. I want to ask one more question before I go.
Are you going to do a card tank for us also, or no?
Oh, okay. Actually, no. This is a card tank. So Josh doesn't know what card tank is.
I do. I was there on the other one. There.
He knows what it is. Okay, he knows what
I know
it is.
what it is.
Okay, well then, Josh, what I would like you to do is, if you have any cards that are currently not that popular, and you know what? How about this? Not just cards, even some of those crazy video games that you have on your shelf that I keep looking up and seeing you adding more and more and more. If you could please card tank sealed video games.
I got you.
Okay.
Damn, the whole genre.
Josh is entering the card tank. A collector of premier Lebron cards, he's also amassed quite the collection of video games. Josh is looking for $200,000 for a 5% stake in his video game collection. Whoa. Josh, what do you have for me and Chris here in the card tank?
Okay, I have for you Super Smash Brothers N64 sealed video game, graded by Wada Grading Company. This one's graded 9.0 A+. The benefits here are Wada is a really sick grading company. They actually
Are they the PSA?
They're the PSA, but they also have this cool concept of this state-of-the-art like barcode system, and you can actually scan that on their app and actually have
buy the game, not the barcode. Okay.
Yeah, but you can have the game on the barcode. The actual game is on it, like the ROM is on it.
Oh, you can play the game.
Yes.
Okay. On what?
Whatever, like a ROM emulator. You have to like have a system to play them, like the emulator stuff.
That's who you're talking to. Hold on. That's really funny. Hold on. All right, Josh, make your pitch about video games.
Yeah, video games are undervalued. It's the next thing. We're in the second inning of video games. It hasn't gotten its respect yet. We're so early on this thing that you guys need to get in on it ASAP, or you're gonna miss out.
Why did you go Super Smash Brothers?
Because I played the fuck out of that game as a kid, man. I played that game for like 2 years straight, nonstop. Smash Brothers. That game's the shit.
Kevin, ask him what he bought it for and what it's worth now.
Oh God, I paid $6,000.
What did you pay for it, Josh? Don't mislead the panel.
$6,000. I paid $6,000.
And what is it worth now?
I have no idea. Honestly, I don't keep up. Probably like 10 or something. I don't keep up with the video game world that much.
You're telling me there's not a game ladder?
Dude, I'm gonna white label the shit out of Card Ladder. We'll have Game Ladder coming up.
How does that rate of appreciation compare to your LeBrons?
I mean, in the rate of appreciation in my heart, it's nowhere close.
Okay.
Ooh,
You're
Okay,
melting.
hold on. Because Josh always wants to be I enjoyed that. Because Josh always wants to be best friends with the athletes, and Chris
I
doesn't.
do. Can you help me with that?
No, I do. I do agree with you.
Yes.
Because
me and Chris.
what Chris isn't thinking about is Josh is saying if you're automatically best friends. It's not like you have the chance to become best friends. It's like you see Jordan, and Jordan looks at you, and he looks and he goes, I don't know what it is, but I love this motherfucker. Like that's what it is.
Dude, if LeBron said that to me, I would just jump into his arms and wait for him to catch
And that's
me.
what I'm saying. So Josh, what is your favorite food?
Pizza.
Oh my God, this is perfect. Okay. Is this Josh Johnson's perfect night? Close your eyes. Close your eyes.
Yeah, I'm so ready.
You're sitting there on that wonderfully comfortable couch, and 2 cushions away is LeBron James. And you are playing Super Smash Brothers, and it is a doozy. And the door opens, and you hear, hey, babe, pizza's here. And your wife brings in slices, and lays them down. And you look over, and at the same time, you both go, time out. Is that? And then you both crack open a White Claw or a Twisted Tea or whatever truly you're drinking. Is that your perfect night?
And then, okay, I'll cap it off. I'll cap off the perfect night. Yes. The cap off is he goes, can you go get your collection and let me look through every single one of those bitches? And then just...
You forgot Justin Timberlake is playing softly in the background.
Oh, true.
There you go.
No. That's not what happens, Christina, is out of nowhere, LeBron pauses Super Smash and goes, you think Justin Timberlake's underrated? And Josh is like, I always said that.
I'd be like, we'd be dapping up and like high-fiving, like, fuck yeah. Dude, that would be the best. You know, hey, you don't know this yet, but after you get married, you really start to appreciate the like bro friends a little bit more, because you're like, I don't need to impress women anymore. So the perfect night is really like me and LeBron hanging out, not, you know.
Well, I mean, your wife's there, and then like she leaves, and LeBron's like, she's great.
Yeah, and we're like, all right, now let's have some White Claws and let's really party.
And then you look down, you're like, Larry Fitzgerald's calling me. I'll get to him tomorrow. Don't ruin dude's night, Larry.
I'd be like, LeBron, put your phone away, man. We're hanging, bro. We got the brews and the cards. Put that shit away.
Though? Like that's such a good lesson though for people. If you get to meet professional athletes, is treat them like you would treat family, just from the get-go. And if you treat them like you would treat family, because you wouldn't run up to your family and be like, hey, can you sign this? You would be like, oh, my cousin looks good. Okay, how are you? You know what I mean? Like, it's a different energy. But
I've prepared for it. If this moment comes, I'm ready.
My fiance is like that with Jay-Z. Like that, she's obsessed with Jay-Z, and she always says that, like, if I meet him, I have to have the right thing to say. I'm like, can you write it down already? Like, it's gonna happen.
So who's yours? Who's your LeBron best hangout night?
Well, I've been able to meet and then talk to my guy, which is Brian Dawkins was my guy. And I was covering a high school football game. If I've ever told this story, do I need to go? Is it too late? I was at a high school football game, and I heard them say, down in the west end zone, he's the only player in NFL history in a single game to record an interception, a sack, a safety, and a punt return for a touchdown. And I went, that's motherfucking Brian Dawkins when the Eagles beat the Texans by 21, but they were favored. They beat them by 18. They were favored by 21 at the vet. And they're like, Brian Dawkins. And I was like, what? And I looked, and I had like a 25-pound camera, and I just start sprinting down the sideline. 2 reasons. One, I'm shooting the high school football game. So I want to get video of him like while he's on the field. And I'm like, this is my guy. Like, my AIM screen name was Doc for MVP. That
There
was
you go.
my AIM screen name.
Boom.
My favorite number was 20. I wore it senior year of basketball like Brian Dawkins. And so I hopped over a kid. Like it was a football team. So it was like 90 kids. And I was like, and I went down there and I got a shot of him. And then I came up and I didn't even mean to, but I fucking hugged him. And I was like, my man, how are you? And he was like, I'm good. And I was like, Eagles, baby. And he was like, yeah. And I like hugged him. And it was right after he had gone to Denver. And it was a big thing in Philly because the Eagles didn't want to pay him because they thought he didn't have that many years left. And then he went to Denver. And I was like, did you want to leave? It was the first thing I said, did you want to leave Philadelphia? I need to know. He goes, absolutely not. And I was like, a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I was like, ah. And I was like, I just need you to know, man, you are almost all of my passwords. And he was like, okay. And then and that's when I didn't realize that like all the other cameramen had caught up to me after I ran ahead. And another one put their hand on my shoulder and like, Adam, you're good. And I was like, I'm great. This is Brian Dawkins. He's the best to ever fucking do it. And Brian was like, I like this guy. And I was like, yes, I got the I like this guy.
And then you were like, pizza at my house tomorrow?
And I would play Super Smash or Mortal Kombat.
I never played Mortal Kombat.
Oh, wow.
Really?
No.
Get over here. That wasn't your thing. Sub-Zero?
I never liked the... No.
Scorpion.
I was more of a
never got down
Nintendo.
on Sega.
I was more of a Nintendo guy. N64, Mario.
Sonic was too much, not enough strategy, too much speed.
He's a little too edgy for me. I'm more straight laced.
Yeah, you like little plumbers. Yeah, well, so wait, was Mario a big part of your life, Josh?
Yeah, of course.
Would you
All the
ever buy
Mario.
Mario cards?
I mean, undervalued.
For real, though. All right. Thanks for letting me in here, guys. This was fun.
Thanks, buddy.
See you guys.
See you, man.
All right, Chris, what's your fantasy dinner athlete? Go. You got to pick someone.
I guess Jordan, just because I'd like to get deep with him on some stuff, but
You'd be like, why the fuck did you invest in Top Shot?
that would definitely be my first question. I would come out hot and firing. I would definitely come out firing. Yeah,
What would you guys talk about?
I mean, I would get deep with Jordan. You know, I'd ask him about a lot of different things. His approach to business, his approach to NBA team ownership, his approach to being competitive, to keeping a balanced lifestyle when you do something at a very high level. I would get deep with him.
Nice. You're not that surface level bullshit. You're deep.
What do if I'm going to waste an hour or two of my time talking to somebody, it should be like the crossover. It should be enriching and valuable.
You're like, bro, I could be adding cards right now. Let's get to the good stuff here.
It's true. That was great though. Shout out to Lefko for coming on. He even got Josh to do a card tank pitch for video games, which was impressive.
You should be like, Kwame Brown? Seriously? You drafted that guy?
Yeah, well, you've seen his Cigar Aficionado interview. I mean, the guy will give you a 30-minute answer if you don't stop him. I love that about Jordan. The guy thinks deeply, and I like it.
Yeah, shout out to Lefko. That was fun. Definitely a different way to take the show, which was fun. A little bit unique for the night.
Oh, yeah, that was great. That was absolutely great. As for all you hour 2 and hour 3 guys out there, that was a little treat for all you guys.
Dude, you were just like sitting back, taking it all in, Chris. You're pretty quiet.
That was the chillest hour 2 I've ever had. Look, I will gladly sit back and let somebody else talk for a while.
You should. Oh, that brings me to my next topic. Have you heard of Clubhouse? That's a great way to do that.
Clubhouse, yeah. So what are your takes on Clubhouse now about 48 hours in?
It's a little disorganized. It's a little bit awkward, there's like a lot of awkward silence. Like someone will like go on a big soliloquy and then no one will even respond because there's the awkwardness of like who's talking next. I feel like what should be happening is when you're ready to talk, you should unmute, and then that's the sign that like, okay, this dude's gonna talk next, and I should let him talk. Because there's like, as someone who's not really comfortable interrupting and like jumping in at the next piece, like I feel like I don't get to talk very much, and I unmute myself and I'm ready to go, and then someone else will jump in, so then I sort of just like fade back. And then the other thing is like there'll be a really good discussion going, and then someone will speak and be like, "Guys, do you think Ja Morant's undervalued?" And it's like, "Oh my God, we just totally derailed like a really great conversation." Those are the negatives. The positives are, it's more like personal, and it's more like it's when I see stories that people post on Instagram about cards, I usually like sense that they're just sort of hyping stuff. And when I talk to them on Clubhouse, I'm getting a more personal, like, okay, you have some actual like thought behind this. You're not just pumping cards. You have some actual takes, and it's interesting there. And I have more empathy.
Yeah, it humanizes fellow hobbyists in a good way. I agree with that. Tim says it's easier to listen than talk on Clubhouse. It's true. Tim, are you incognito on there, or you're just on there during hours that I'm not on there anymore? Because I saw you popped in that one day, and I haven't seen you on there since. I was talking to Stephen Go about possibly getting on there today, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Respond to my negatives. What like do you feel the same pains, and are there any solutions?
Yes, I do. I do. The disorganization is a problem, but I don't know how to solve it. I think one way to potentially solve the problem of too many speakers and this constant race to jump in before the next person jumps in before you is just to have fewer speakers. And but the key to it all is good moderation. And I don't think we've actually seen very many good moderators yet. A good moderator is somebody who will really actively control and dictate the flow of the room, bring somebody in, bring the next person in, bring the next person in. That requires a level of engagement that, might not really suit most of us who just kind of hang out on Clubhouse and just want it to be a little more informal. But I'll give a shout out to Chase because he leads great discussions on there. Chase does a really nice job of in that moderator vein of just kind of like bringing up new topics. That's one thing too. That's a negative from my point of view. Sometimes there will be an awkward silence of 10 or 20 seconds, and somebody has to try and fill the space. I think that's why like a lot of bad ideas actually come from. Is the first guy to get uncomfortable with the awkward silence will just blurt out a new topic, and it might not be the best one. So a good moderator kind of solves everything.
We were in a room today, and like we had a good back and forth on like a rare subset of cards, and then the moderator was like, "Hey guys, I'm killing this room." Yeah, and we were like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, that's less than optimal.
Yeah, it's all about the moderator, I guess, is your point.
I mean, I hope so, but I actually haven't seen it in action yet because all the rooms are just super informal. But the rooms are great. It definitely to me is better than listening to podcasts. I would rather be in these rooms. I'd rather be able to jump in once or twice, and steer a discussion or introduce a topic or something like that.
If only we had someone with experience running like a 2-person show weekly. Like if we found someone with that experience, I think it would be good.
I think it would be good. Yes. Yeah, that would be nice. That would be real nice.
Take the compliment, Chris. Be a moderator.
What the fuck? I don't have time to moderate a Clubhouse room, but I wouldn't
You're
mind.
fucking on all the time.
I wouldn't mind like grooming a moderator, and starting like a card ladder room for Clubhouse and just like designate 2 moderators and just be like, look, this is you guys' job. You get the prestige of being the big D in these rooms, but you need to moderate them. So.
Yeah. Yeah, too many speakers. Like when I was on it last night, there was like 12 people in there, and I was like, dude, I'm not gonna get to say shit.
That's part of the balance, dude. It really is. That's really part of the balance. And people like it's very difficult to come up to the stage, say your thing, and then be like, okay, I'm leaving the stage. Nobody wants to leave the stage. But if people did that more, it'd probably be better.
Yeah, the other thing is that because there's this like weight to say what you want to say, there is like a level of not a lot of like good listening and responding and like awareness of what's going on, and it's just sort of like blurt out your thing and then fade back, and it's just like a lot of blurting out something and fading back. So
True. But it's good though, man. It's a good next step in hobby online. I could see it getting pretty big, and by the same token, I could see it not ever getting bigger than it is right now. So it could go two different ways.
can we just adopt my idea of if you want to say something, unmute and like prepare so that people see like, oh, this dude keeps unmuting, he's ready to talk.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. I think they could make it even clearer as well, because like maybe when somebody unmutes, like a little red circle surrounds their name for 3 seconds, so then everybody else in the room can see, oh, this guy unmuted, so this guy's going next. And when you unmute, it kind of is a placeholder for your spot. If everybody observed that, I mean, but you don't need that though. If you look at the room and you see somebody's unmuted, it should signal two things: one, time to wrap up what you're saying. And then two, this guy gets to go next. Don't just butt in and blurt something out really quick.
There's a few people in every one of those rooms I've been in where they feel like they have to carry the conversation, but I would bring awareness to those folks that like almost everyone in there wants to say something. They're just nervous, so like give them a chance to say something, and even call them out. If you see someone in there that hasn't said anything for a while, I guarantee you, if you called them out, they'd be super excited to say something.
That's such a good point. Such a good point. That's some good clubhouse wisdom right there.
And that's just me. That's not me like being an expert at Clubhouse. It's just like knowing the human psyche of it being valuable to pull someone aside and like be aware of them. You know, everyone wants to be known. Everyone wants to be noticed, no matter what setting. Especially if they're in Clubhouse. They're fucking in Clubhouse because they want to be involved.
Yeah. Another thing I'll say positive about Clubhouse, because it's all early adopters right now, there's a strong selection bias in favor of extremely open-minded and entrepreneurial and innovative people. So that's mostly good. It can be really bad, but it's mostly good. It results in like a more impressive group of people on average than when it becomes open to the general public and everybody's on there, and then it gets watered down. So it's actually we're in the second inning of Clubhouse right now, and it's just a really it's a really good time to be on there. It's not always going to be this unique. It's not always going to have this high of a percentage of quality people.
Well, the rooms will get more specialized. Like right now, they're like placeholder rooms for like, we just have to be here to talk cards because there's not many. But there's going to be more specialized rooms going forward of like I was talking to Chase, and there was a generic sports card room, and it was like a lot of baseball stuff, and I wasn't interested.
No.
I was like, we need a basketball card room. We need a 90s insert room. It's gonna get to that point, I think.
I agree. That will be peak of the hobby Clubhouse experience. But if anybody wants to get on there, I have like 6 invites right now. So you can DM me and I'll let you on there. Yeah. I've probably nominated around 20 or 30 people by now.
How many iPads have you purchased?
Only one, and that's all that I'm buying. So look, let's move this party over to Clubhouse, and
I'll jump over there.
Let's have the after party from the crossover on Clubhouse. This may have been my favorite crossover episode we ever did. I'm gonna have to let it sink in, but this was a really, really good episode, and we had great audience, obviously, for this episode as well. So
yeah, why don't you go start a Clubhouse room right now? Call it crossover after party.
I'm on it. All right, guys. Next week.